Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I traveled quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague and had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
Uh, no. And please fuck off and seek mental treatment.
All right. So yeah, uh, it's good to be back. I've been gone for 2 weeks. Uh, Everybody, please give Unity a round of applause for hosting the last 2 weeks without me here.
Yay.
And yeah, so how was that experience?
It's fine, to be honest. To be fair, we just break down shows instead of movies, so it's gonna take a lot longer.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So we're finally talking about a movie. It's kind of been a while, if we're gonna be honest.
Yep.
Uh, another one of your sequels from something that ended a long time ago. Uh, we shouldn't be saying his name so much, but yeah, the sequel Beetlejuice. Now I can't say that name one more time. Uh, yeah, that came out I think last week, the week before, something like that. And Tim Burton back at the helm. Michael Keaton back as that character's name. You also got Winona Ryder back as Lydia Dietz. You got Catherine O'Hara back as Delia, and
Yay.
you got you got some new characters too, like Jenna Ortega as the daughter Astrid, and you've also got Justin Theroux as the weird guy, and you also got likes of Willem Dafoe, Danny DeVito, Monica Bellucci. We'll get to her in a second, and yeah. So, and as I mentioned before, this is a sequel to a film that happened in 1988. So this is before Michael Keaton was Batman, like 1 year before. Um, a little bit of trivia, I guess, before we kind of get into our thoughts on both films. They were trying to make a sequel to that movie, uh, like immediately after the success of the first one, and they did have some sequel scripts. Like in 1990, they had one BJ's in love. It was penned by the screenwriter Warren Scarron. He actually did heavy rewrites on the first film, uh,
Yeah.
but he passed away after he submitted the draft, and then it kind of just fell apart due to that. Then Tim Burton also had some ideas, like BJ goes to Hawaii. Uh,
I mean, to be honest, I take that over whatever fuck we have
BJ
now.
goes to the West. BJ and the Haunted Mansion. There was a lot of ideas of what to do with the sequel. They never really got to agree. Um, they were they were really thinking about doing it in 1991, but then uh, Burton and Michael Keaton started doing Batman Returns at that point, so it just never came to be. And then here we are back in 2024, 36 years later, we get the sequel. So that's how that happened. And
Yay.
you know, before we get started, I'm your host, Red of Love's Reviews, and I'm back here again with Unity Review and Analysis. What's up, Unity?
Hi, I'm good. Just, kind of exhausted, but it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we tried something new for this film. I told Unity long in advance that I want to try something where the two of us don't talk about both movies until the podcast because I don't know what he thinks about the movie. He doesn't know what I think about this movie or both movies. So, just wanted to really amp up the. It'll be fun, I think, seeing in real time. And yeah. So, what did you think about the first movie before we get to the second movie?
I think the first one is a masterpiece in almost every level. Unironically, in a movie called Beetlejuice, about some nut job trying to about some nut job played by Michael Keaton and haunting a lot of people.
Yeah. Um. Oh, you said his name once, so you got two more. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's see. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you watched the movie like now. You didn't see it long ago, right?
No, yeah, this
So
is
you didn't
just
have any
two.
kind of like nostalgia bias or anything like that.
No, I watched it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I watched it years ago. So I kind of wanted to hear that kind of perspective since, it'd be interesting to know, does nostalgia really play a factor in the movies and stuff like that? I will say that when we do talk about the second film, I could see like there are a lot of parallels to the first film and this current one in terms of like how they structure the story. Because like I know one example was, oh, the titled character doesn't show up till 40 minutes into the movie, which is technically true in the first movie as well. But I will say that, yeah, but I will say for the get go, the concepts. I mean, obviously with Tim Burton style, you're gonna have a lot of weird and wacky and stop animation, and like models and stuff like that. So yeah, it's that kind of magic, Burton magic that you don't, because like as if anybody knows, like he really wanted to quit directing after Dumbo 2019, which to be fair, that would make sense. I don't know. Did you see Dumbo 2019?
Nope. I just know that movie bombed.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he really wanted to quit, but then Wednesday kind of brought his love for filmmaking back. And I know Unity has a lot of issues with Wednesday. Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
And it shows here as well.
yeah. I will say, even with that, I still do appreciate him coming back in the sense of like that style is just like really unique and makes Tim Burton who he is. So I just appreciate it from that level. Um, but that's kind of the extent as to what I appreciate. I think he really needs somebody to hold his hand when it comes to the writing side.
Oh, he didn't write it, but he
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
hire
yeah.
better writers.
Yeah, that's mostly it. But yeah, the first film is, I feel like it does a pretty good job balancing the humans and so I don't know if you even knew this, like Beetlejuice. Oh, I said it 3 times. It's over.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, the character he has a cartoon which has 4 seasons. He also has 3 video games, things like that. So there's some fun facts. Um, so one thing they mentioned that in the cartoon is that the afterlife is called the Neither World. So I kind of call it that sometimes. So yeah, you get like this whole dynamic of the characters on Earth, and then you have the whole Neither World, the sandworm, and all that. A lot of wacky, zany designs. Yeah, so I think what makes it really special is that relationship between Lydia and the original owners of the home that they're living in, the Maitlands, played by Alec Baldwin
Oh,
and
Baldwin.
Gina Davis. Um, obviously Alec is controversial now.
Yeah,
Um,
so that's why they didn't get him back. It's like,
well,
and
so
by extent, they didn't even get the Lydia Dave, Lydia Davis. Violet. What's the other name? What's the other actress's name?
Gina Davis. Gina Davis.
Gina Davis back.
Yeah. So actually, Tim Burton does explain that. The reason why. So the rule is that they're supposed to look like how they were when they died. So obviously, when you're played by humans, and the humans have not been acting in this franchise for 36 years, they look very, very different from what they are. So that's why Tim Burton is like wanted to avoid bringing them back because he didn't think there was going to be enough. There's no amount of CGI, AI, deep fake like that can make it convincing enough. And he also didn't really want to rely on the nostalgia factor for that, so that's why he didn't bring them back. Which I can understand that. The problem is that they do try to explain why they're not in the film anymore. Uh, because apparently there's a loophole that allows them to move on.
It's a terrible excuse, and I was literally just like I was just literally yelling like, "That's it! That's the fucking reason!" It's so stupid, man.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough. Beetlejuice has the benefit of the fact that Michael Keaton is in a makeup, so and he does not look any different. I mean, obviously he
Uh,
looks older, but
I mean,
the energy is still there from back from 36 years ago till now. He still acts the same way. He still reacts the same way. He's a fun
no,
guy.
no
What's up?
offense, but for that statement, I was like, just recast someone. Just recast someone who looks like Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis.
Yeah, yeah. And then you could use the older ones for like that kind of cameo, but for different characters in the neither world. I think there's that way you could have like appealed to both a nostalgia factor and that they should be in the story. Because that's kind of what he was saying in the description. Is like I feel like the Maitlands were done. Like they kind of had their thing. Now it's like move on. Which is like I get it, but like I don't think you can. I feel like that doesn't make sense though, and that's kind of the problem.
I mean, if you don't want to do that, set the story somewhere else, like set it in another location or
Away
set.
from the house, yeah,
Yeah, and then they can just find just get Beetlejuice some other ways instead of just relying on the old way.
that's 2 times. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, because honestly, the whole story is so. I guess let's start going into the second story, and then we can talk about some more behind the scenes stuff. Um, so do you have like any non-spoiler thoughts before we go into like the spoilery stuff?
So non-spoiler, this move when I was watching this movie, I was like, they literally just steal ideas from the first movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and the Wednesday show.
So for me, it's like I thought it was going fine, nothing too special. But I think the biggest issue that I had was that it feels like two movies, like two pretty good ideas for movies for this universe, but they're both in this movie for some reason. And that's like the Astrid uh, boyfriend subplot and the whole Monica Bellucci subplot. Honestly, like these two ideas are pretty decent ideas to go for this franchise, I would say.
Oh, actual idea
Um,
is the idea from Wednesday. They literally just copy and paste it here.
yeah, so you're gonna have to explain that to me when we go into the spoiler side.
No, literally, how it begins, how it start, how everything in the middle, and how it ends. Literally, just fucking Wednesday. The main
Yeah,
plot from Wednesday. I was like, what the fuck?
yeah, and then Monica Bellucci. So I kind of had to. I was like wondering, I was like, why is she in this movie? But then I learned she's banging the director, so that is why.
So that doesn't explain William Dafoe.
Well, he's here because of the whole murder mystery stuff,
Um,
which that's kind of why it's like I feel like these characters could have been fine if it was in movie 3. Because honestly, what I liked about the thing is like I think they're decent ideas for if I want to do a movie 2. I think I think Astrid getting so I guess we're going to spoilers now. I think Astrid like getting tricked into this world is kind of like an interesting way to go about it. Obviously like not like her mother in the first film, but like there's at least some kind of semblance and like you know an accident that happened that kind of sets the story in place and all this stuff. But I think there's like an interesting way to go about that. And then the third one, you could have like the focus on Beetlejuice and his ex-wife and all that stuff. That's what I'm saying.
uh,
Like I feel like these are like okay ideas for two different movies, but all of it being in this one movie, that kind of like rushes everything, especially by the end.
oh, it's not just rushed. It drags and rushed. So that's a problem.
Are you rushing or are you dragging?
Oh, both, kind of both.
Shadow
Oh,
Whiplash.
yep.
Um,
That's an amazing movie. I love that.
yeah, yeah. So I guess let's kind of go into it. Uh,
S-
I will say, hearing the music again by Danny Elfman, seeing
Oh,
the model and like the camera zoom in and the name, yeah, it definitely has the nostalgia factor. Um, so yeah, it's 2024 now. Lydia Dietz, played by Winona Ryder, she's hosting a supernatural talk show called Ghost House, and the show's produced by her boyfriend Rory. She's basically talking to a couple who is noticing paranormal activities. And during the taping of the segment, she sees visions of that pesky poltergeist who haunted her family 36 years ago in the audience. And that's where she runs off to the bathroom in a panic attack. She's trying to take a pill. This is something that kind of happens twice and never again. Is like she sees a ghost, treats it like normal. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair enough. She notices a ghost in the bathroom. The
I
ghost is
mean,
gone once Rory goes in. Fair enough. But
that's
like,
fine. But yeah.
yeah, but it's like I think my thing is like I feel like it should be happening more than that one
Uh,
time. But yeah.
oh, this setup is absolute bullshit. I was really watching this, and then it's like after she just got an interview scene, which is like you literally just stole idea from Quantum Mania. I'm not even kidding at that point. And then he was like, she just runs in, and the boyfriend walks in. I was like, dude, this is a female ladies bathroom. What the fuck?
I get. Luckily, it was empty. Luckily, it was empty. I guess.
Yeah, luckily I was literally just I have to tell my friend to just play the scene back just in case I didn't miss anything. I was like, and then we just paused. I was like, dude, that's literally the ladies' bathroom, not even like a bathroom for everyone, a
Yeah, I
neutral
mean,
bathroom or something.
the only thing I could say is like she did go in as a panic attack, and I could see like even with that premise, like you could still go and see if that person is okay. I mean, obviously the respectful thing to do is first, is there anybody else in there? No, then you go in. That's usually the courtesy thing to do. But yeah, I mean, I can understand that.
And,
But
and
yeah. So right off the bat, this guy is talking in proverbs, talking in he's not a good person. Was just to kind of get that idea. Uh, he's talking in platitudes, things like that. And then that's where they kind of talk about the pills. And So like throws the pills in the trash can. It's like, no, this is my last one. All right, I'll dig out the trash can to get a pill. Yeah,
Why? Just fucking
gross.
why? Yeah, and he
He didn't even
said,
wash. He didn't even wash it either.
and do you know what he said? This is not the first time I done it for you.
Yeah. So obviously, the poltergeist is given some level of PTSD, um, which is fair. I mean, obviously, 36 years is a long time. I can't really comment on anything what happened during the time, and also the character is magic, so he can kind of mess with her head like that in that regard. So the part is fine with me. I don't really have too much to say about it. She gets like this call from her stepmother, so she has to leave the. So Lydia has to leave the segment. So she goes all the way to New York, where Delia is like a world famous artist, which
Some reason.
I guess. I mean,
I mean, the first movie is literally about how terrible she is as an artist, and she was like, "Yeah, now I'm an art museum." I was like, "What the fuck?"
yeah. So I guess I'll comment this. I have seen some breakdowns about the movie, and honestly, I think Delia gets like a lot of. She should not have been in this movie. Um, I'm not gonna say that. Um, I mean, it's very clear that she's there for comic relief. Um, and I'm not really opposed to having a character like that here and there. I do think that they overused her for sure, but I won't say that she shouldn't have been in this movie. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
It's like this is a scene that was like they're supposed to take it seriously, and then there's like they tell a lot of fucking shit jokes. They're like, hey, isn't it so funny?
See, and this is kind of my problem. So when she does go to the art museum, Delia reveals that her father, Charles, is dead. Oh, he died in a plane crash. No, actually, he survived that. It turns out he got bitten by a shark. Um, so yeah, that's how he died. But it's kind of like the length and how long it has to go to explain how he died. That was kind of corny. Apparently, Tim Burton said that he wanted Charles to die that way because like that's kind of his nightmare, being killed by a shark. So
I'm gonna be honest here. That's only because the actor is a rapist of minors.
no, we got it. Rapist, SO. You got keywords. We don't want to get demonetized.
Oh fuck.
But yeah, that's all right. We gotta work on that sometimes. Yeah. So
It's and then
and honestly, that's kind of my problem with the movie in general. Like in terms of how they handled his character in that sense, is like I didn't really like the character to begin with. In the first movie, he's like, I mean, he's a rich business guy who kind of turns around in the end, but like he's. I mean, it's not a good person, and in real life too. So
I'm
there's
got
that.
yep, and it's like this scene just to give you a lot of fucking whiplash.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like there's a lot of like credence to give credit to. Oh, he was like this, he was like that, he was like a generous person. He didn't care about speeches. He was like there's a lot of like commentary about Charles, which is really unnecessary. I mean, it's like he could have died years ago. He didn't have to die now. And like I don't know. And especially since like because the actor is a monster that we're talking about, it's like that doesn't help either.
Yeah, and so it's okay. This scene is so fucking bizarre because she just runs in and Dahlia said, "Daddy left me." It was like that was supposed to be funny, by the way. And then Lydia say, "I was like, oh, what happened? You see, his plane crashed." I was like, and Lydia was like, "So he drowned." Dahlia was like, "No, He's safe. Everyone said so. Little's like, oh, that's he's safe. And then he got eaten by a shark.
Yeah,
What?
that's what I'm saying. It's just too much going on, and it's like for this guy, it's like why are we explaining so much about his like why he's not in the movie? Just let him die like years ago. You didn't have to make him die like today in terms of the story, but you know what I mean.
And you know, and then she was, and
The best
then
part of it, yeah, the best part of this movie was Jenna Ortega saying, "You need to drink the Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice," and then he did, and everybody cheered as the credits roll. It was very cool. Oh yeah. Speaking of that, you go ahead. I'll bring it up after.
and so this is absolutely tonal whiplash. It was like this is supposed to be like funny and also like serious at the same time because you know a character dramatically died like this, and it was like isn't it so funny? And then Lydia was like, oh, that sucks. Anyway, literally, I mean, she said, I talked to my dad on Saturday. I talked to him just on Saturday, which is important because keep this in mind. It's gonna be important later.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention. Not like nothing super crazy, but like just something cool, I guess. You know, as you know, with the new movies, you get things like merch here and there for the movie and such. So I don't know if I. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this works. So yeah, you got all these like Fanta soda cans with all the Beetlejuice stuff. So I thought that was yeah, I was like at my local Walmart. But yeah, the placement of the cans is kind of interesting, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, so yeah, my big thing about the scene is like I just couldn't really get what they're going for, and I feel like having so much justification for this monster is just kind of weird overall.
Yeah, and
Then it kind of cuts to
no, it's even
Astrid.
worse.
But yeah,
It's
go
even
ahead.
worse because there's a few things I'm going to talk about first. So because like so they mentioned Astrid and the Dahlia was like, "Do we need to? She doesn't like us." I was like, "Yeah, you moron." Lydia of course said, "I don't want. I don't." I was like we barely on speaking terms. It was like, dude, I don't fucking care. She say yes, because you know your dad died, and you have to tell your daughter about this. And then some guy leave some and no sorry, and then Dahlia was like, I'm so sad. I have to cancel my show now. My God, these two people really does not respect the death of Charles. It's it's like it's
Which fair. Well, that's only fair in a meta sense, not in the universe.
yeah, they try to play it for laughs. That's a thing. It's
Yeah, like so one of my big things is like they really wanted to get a character from the old movie that died, for sure, and then have like this kind of thing. So obviously Charles is the only character to do that with, and it's also convenient because the guy's a monster in real life. So yeah,
and
um, because
and
and you can't do that with like Alec Baldwin or Gina Davis because they're already dead in the universe. They're ghosts. Um, so
yeah.
I could see this logic, but so you have a few things going on, and then you have like the French guy who is like kind of cursing because his show got canceled to the point where he storms out, and then he storms out to the point where he falls down a manhole.
Oh yeah, because Dahlia just say something really out of character, and Lydia was like instead of just like you what the fuck, man, and so she just say nothing, and so this guy just walks out, and he basically died from falling out of a sink.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's then it cuts to the neither world.
okay, so this breaks the first movie. So if you remember, if you died in an accident, you don't just teleport to the fucking to the tunnel not the tunnel, the hallway of the lawyers and shit. Because of finding the people who can help you. No, you go, you kill, you walk, you bring yourself back to your own house, and you just read a bunch of manuals until you just know how to draw a door, and then you wait, and then you go inside. This movie just skipped the process of he's just inside now. It's
Yeah,
like
a lot of the rules from the Netherworld are just like kind of not there. Like for example, the Netherworld has this whole thing like time works differently there. Like because you're dead, you can't really process time. So like one example was when Alec Baldwin went outside. He felt like he was only there for a few seconds, but Gina says that he was there for 2 hours. Um, so yeah, like they can't process time. But like in this film, there's when they go in and out of the Netherworld, and there's no time lapse at all. That becomes more relevant in the third act, in particular. But yeah, that was something.
and to be honest, this is like the most irrelevant thing you need to do because there's no point even showing this guy die. It's literally just for a cool transition.
Yeah, it was just to show Danny DeVito.
Oh, I remember this guy.
Yeah, Danny DeVito's playing a janitor, a dead janitor, of course, and you know, he's cleaning, and then all of a sudden, he goes into this room, and something just knocks over a box, and then, well, it actually electrocutes the box, and
Yeah,
then,
I don't
the,
know. Uh,
yeah,
how the
I don't remember how the sequence of events happened, but like
Yeah, no,
essentially,
literal. Yeah, it did. It just so he just triggered some accident because he just vacuumed some water, so it triggers some electricity and just
yeah,
lost it.
he shocks himself, and like it shocks up into like boxes. Which essentially the point is that there is a bunch of parts that makes up this character
Um,
who is played by Monica Bellucci.
yeah, which is to be honest, I really do not was like seriously, this is the way you try to get Monica Bellucci out of this box is to have some janitor just hit something and it just trigger a chain reaction that doesn't even make any sense, and it so happened to hit those specific boxes.
Honestly, the coolest thing about her character was stitching herself back together. That's it.
Yeah, literally. And to be honest, I was watching this. I was like, dude, staplers can't just help you stick everything. It
Yeah,
can't stick your fucking.
that's yeah, it's a little bit of that Frankenstein logic. So I was okay with that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Uh, but yeah, yeah. So she's looking for Beetlejuice, and but like she never gets an answer, so she just sucks the soul out of Danny DeVito, and
Yeah,
he's dead.
because this moron just hired Danny the video for no reason.
Well, you know, Tim Burton loves his Danny DeVito, as do a lot of us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True. I mean, I love this. I love the actor, but to be honest, his character is a fucking moron, and he only appeared for one scene.
Yeah,
Literally, when he's vacuuming, when he knocked out the box, instead of just stopping Monica Bellucci from just stitching herself back together, he just stares at it, and only until she finished stitching herself back, he just like,
actually,
hey,
actually the thing is, like, he didn't even notice she was stitching herself back together. I think he was like, because he was listening to music as well.
and I
Um,
mean
and
he
he was like
he
kind of like sweeping, and then he notices her because like she's like looking around, and then he notices it. Hey, you're not supposed to be back here, that kind of thing. So he doesn't even know who she is, or in that sense. Which I guess that's fair. If a janitor doesn't know, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in so little time.
yeah.
But yeah,
And then we got Astrid.
yeah. Then we get to Astrid's scene.
Uh,
She's in she's in the school,
oh, by the
and
way, her character is basically just Wednesday from the Wednesday show. I was I was so jarred. It's so jarring.
Honestly, I've heard reviews saying that she's not
Fuck
nice.
those reviews. Fuck that. Because they're lying to you.
I don't think
This is just Wednesday.
she wasn't that dour. I
I
don't
mean
think.
I mean at least the character writing is Wednesday.
Yeah, like she's not that snippy. Like she has snips. Like when the girls they put her in a dorm with like the ghost. And it's like when you're 30 and you're second with your second child post menopause. We're gonna see who's laughing now. Uh, Jenna's like really good at that that deadpan. Um, and I will say both of us love Jenna Ortega. By the
Oh,
way,
I love her. Wait, I love her. But I just
yeah. But I do hope, please, please stop typecasting her.
yeah, to be honest, it's because of Tim Burton and the writers are from Wednesday. So they just
Yeah,
get her again.
yeah. And honestly, I mean, like Tim Burton gives Jenna a lot of credit for kind of reinvigorating his passion for filmmaking again because of Wednesday, Beetlejuice 2, and all this stuff. So I get it. I'm not. It's not like I don't understand. I just hope like this doesn't become the norm. Everybody fan casts her as Raven. Don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah. So she's there.
She just
Then
look at
all
the
of a
text, ignore it, even though it's like
her mom keeps calling.
it was like,
Doesn't want to answer.
your dad died, you moron. Your grandfather died, you moron.
She doesn't know that yet. But then so they start the the other deets. They start going to the school to tell Astrid in person. Uh, Rory, he's like, oh, I need to tell her. Like he needs to hear from a masculine, non-father but kind of father way,
Oh,
which is like, God, he's I. So here was the thing. So Rory's inspired by Otho, so that uh that know-it-all guy from the first film.
yeah.
That was his inspiration, like his parallel for this film. Which, no, that guy was cool. That guy had like the way he said like that incantation for the exorcism. That was like he has like that bass voice. Like he sounds like a cool dude. This guy is a loser, which is
Yeah.
I guess is the point when
Uh,
we talk about in the third act. But
I
yeah,
mean,
I cannot take him seriously at all.
no, it's like the first movie. It's like that guy is like cool, badass because he runs a company. He wants him to have proof, and he actually he's the one who found the notebook and stuff, so he can use it. Uh, and he got humiliated at the end because it's fucking Beetlejuice, so it's satisfying instead of play off as a joke. Instead of just look at this stupid character got humiliated.
The stupid character got humiliated.
Yeah, this is exactly what happened, and it's like okay, this thing is another tonal whiplash because the character is like desperately trying to get to Lydia, not
Right.
Lydia,
So
Astrid,
to
Astrid,
Astrid. So they're saying like, oh, I need to tell her. No, I need to tell her. So it's like then grandma is like, yeah, I'll tell her. It's like then she pretty much says it so that the entire school can like hear it. Your
and
grandpa, her daddy. Actually, what was weird is like your mother's dad, your grandpa is dead. It's like, why would you say it like that? Don't you want to
yeah,
say it? I don't know. That's just not how you talk about somebody's death, like
and,
to a child. But yeah.
and it's like why even yell at it? It's like just go to the principal's
So
office.
she's eccentric.
She said,
That's her
just go.
character now.
Oh my. Yeah, no, literally, even the car scene. Do you remember what she said? Oh, I've never hosted a funeral for unless with Charles. I was like, what the fuck is this character? This is just a comedic relief for no reason now.
Yeah, yeah. It's like again, my thing is like I would be fine if she is like the comedic relief because she was like kind of a comedic relief in the first film. Not like crazy, like not like this level,
But
but like what the did we get our first bot?
uh, Yeah. Should we just delete that comment?
Yeah,
Can you delete that from your end? Yeah.
yeah. I guess we got Hollywood. We got a first bot.
Yay!
Uh,
I'm happy.
so yeah, um, yeah. So So I mean, I kind of said it before, but like, I would have been fine if they really wanted her to be like not really A.
What the fuck?
I mean, we're happy for you.
Good. Why are you telling us this? We're talking about movies. That's it.
But yeah, we're happy for you. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Thanks. No offense, but I think you're in the wrong place.
But yeah, yeah. So I'd be fine with it. But like, I think like this whole thing, like being so tied to Charles and like his death, and like I want to like honor it, but then like I also want to be like make it all about me. That we're both guys.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I just. What the
All right.
fuck?
Sorry. I'm just gonna have to.
Uh.
All right, I had to ban. Sorry about that. Again, there's nothing wrong with, but it's just not appropriate comments.
Yeah, it's true.
No hard feelings. Um, yeah. Honestly, let's move on.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Where did we left off again?
The grandma making a public display in front of the whole class.
Yeah, that was.
It's not. I mean, I guess like they didn't have like the other characters like laugh at Wednesday. I called her Wednesday. Great. That doesn't take it away now. Yeah, so they don't laugh at Astrid. So I guess that's something.
Yeah, so they just. I don't even know what to say about a lot. This because a lot of things doesn't really happen. Just like, oh, it's that funny. It's Wednesday, and she was like, I can't believe Grandpa died, and he was only the semi-normal person in the family.
Why'd you have to say that?
So for context, in the first movie, a lot of people know that ghosts exist and shit because they literally have because their family work for a ghost company about like finding ghosts exist and shit. So yeah, and the fact that she doesn't even believe that, just like okay, there's no way you wouldn't believe that, especially her mom, her dad, and it's like literally are literally related to that company. They have a lot of evidence for that. And the fact that she doesn't know that was like why?
Sty, can you put a few comments in chat? It's really distracting me. If you're still listening, Sty, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, but I agree. So semi-normal. There you go. Nice. Yeah. Go ahead, Yunri.
Okay, so this person, okay, and then Dahlia was like, "Oh, I need to see some manifestation of grief collectively for of a loss." Is it, and so that we can know how to do that, it's like honor his death. What does loss look like? Is it just a tear or tombstone? By the way, this is all play for laughs.
Yeah. I mean,
Like literally, and
is it
Jen
kind of
Ortega
is this kind
Extra
of
literally said,
go ahead, go
"Oh,
ahead.
that sounds really dramatic." Yeah, that's a punchline.
because
So
it
this,
is. But
yeah, I was
it
like,
is, but like you're not supposed to say that. Like that's like it's one of those kinds of things. Because like honest, like that's kind of what I'm saying. I don't really mind. Like this story idea doesn't sound bad. It just sounds like there's too much going on for no reason. Um, like I wouldn't say anybody's like assassinated in that sense. People are just weird. Um, but then they say, oh, but that's how the deets work. So
no,
okay.
that's not how these were. You fuck.
I mean, they are a little goofy, but like it's like not a weird goofy. It's like fair, I guess, in the first film. But yeah.
It's like, but they won't be like, oh, this person died. Yeah, let's laugh at that, bro.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, go ahead.
yeah, because I just want to say in the first movie, yeah, there are a lot of dark comedies and serious moments because they do have a lot of comedy, like dark serious, dark like very dark moments and also comedic because a lot of it stems from the Madeleines just like figure out what to do to scare them away, and they are not good at it. So and they want to protect their house, and this is the only thing they have left, and they don't want to share it to those rich people. So that's basically the comedy. So they just try to scare them, and they didn't succeed. But then they will have a lot of great dramatic moments. Like one time that one of the Madeleines just tell Lydia was like, "Dude, it's like we died, but I don't want you to come with us. I just want you to live." I was like, that's such a great tonal balance. It's a lot of it stems from the characters and how should they react to the situation when shit goes down. They stop telling jokes. The scene plays is that serious.
Yeah, I mean, like with Astrid, because like we don't really learn why she's like an environmentalist until a little bit later. Um, when she
So
talks to that boy, which we'll get to.
so that's why I say this is
Um,
just Wednesday because it was like, oh my god, this is so sad. I was like, yeah, lol. I was like, yeah, this is literally just Wednesday.
yeah. Yeah, Sty, that was good. I appreciate it. Um, but yeah, I feel like because like honestly, like I don't know if it's because I like Jenna Ortega a lot. That's why I didn't really have any issues on her side. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like in general, like as we're saying, like there's just like kind of like too much to overham things for the sake of overhamming. I don't know if like that was just their way of comedy, I guess. Because like next up is like essentially, um, well, well, the next scene is like uh, we see Willem Dafoe's character who apparently he was a so he called him Beetlejuice uh, because apparently he's not even a cop, but like he was an
Actor.
actor who played a cop in before he died. He was a stunt actor essentially. Um, yeah, he got blown up his brain and all this stuff. So yeah, so he's now acts as a police officer for the Netherworld. So, okay, I guess. So yeah, he's basically saying that there's this zombie lady that's sucking souls, and then Beetlejuice is like, you could say that again.
oh,
Which yeah, Monica Bellucci makes sense.
I'll say this Beetlejuice is the only part I like about this movie.
I still like Astrid.
Uh, Not really. It's like because there's a part you just kind of gloss over, but it's like because when Lydia have a panic attack seeing like Beetlejuice again, because that's actually kind of traumatic. If you remember the first movie, Lydia was like, and then she tried to play it straight to Astrid, and I was like, oh, everything's gonna be fine. We just go back, and she was like, no, you care about ghosts more than me. I was like, the fuck, man. She literally tried to calm you down, even after she is suffering a traumatic experience.
Uh, I mean, I think a part of that just comes down to because she obviously apologizes at the end, um, with everything about the I didn't. Sorry for not believing you at any point and all that stuff. So
And I'm gonna be honest here. It's like, to be fair, I do like the Beetlejuice scene though. You know, the office scene was like, oh, something happened.
yeah,
That's kind of cool.
another thing is like that was another thing Michael Keaton and Tim Burton did talk about that what they wanted to do with the character is that he because one of the modern problems in Hollywood, not to go all anti woke and stuff like that, but it's like they would probably tame down the fact that Beetlejuice is a very promiscuous character. No, they did not tone that down at all. And Tim Burton and Michael Keaton said that's kind of the charm to the character that he doesn't have a character arc or like he doesn't grow or he doesn't
Oh,
like in the sense that like oh he needs to learn that what being a womanizer is bad. Like he doesn't have that kind of thing. So I mean I can appreciate that because yeah he's been around for 600 plus years. You can't just expect him to change just because our current political society has changed. So
yeah,
I can
which is,
appreciate it for that front.
to be honest, like that's why I kind of like Michael Keaton's character. It's like, no, actually, I like Michael Keaton's characters because like this character is just so, it's like so chaotic and stuff. It's hard to ruin him, and to be honest, the movie doesn't really ruin him except for like one moment, which is kind of stupid, but that's still. It's like so that's already like put it above things like that Wolverine, Alien Romulus, and other terrible stuff like Dial of Destiny, Alien. It's like or it's like or Argyle, Megamind too. It's like those terrible sequels that have no redeeming qualities.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's kind of like so obviously he's like being told that she's trying to kill you and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Here's like
So
we'll keep you in protection, all that stuff. I don't really need it.
to be
Um, but
yeah.
he is scared, but he's just not going to admit it. Which fair enough, that makes sense.
Of course, and to be honest, like Willem Dafoe, man, he's really cool. Even though he's working with just, even though his character is only one joke. I'm an actor pretending to be a cop.
It's time to get real.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
joke.
that's his line.
And
Which obviously the irony being he's not even a real cop; he's playing a cop. So yeah,
do you know?
yeah,
Remember how he died?
he got blown up.
Yeah, because it's basically just an Alec Baldwin situation, kinda.
Yeah,
It's like
it's got you could see his brain and part of his skull, but yeah,
and here's the thing, she and the assistant is working in civilian service. If you remember the first movie, the people who only got in civilian service are the ones who committed self harm and then lead to their death.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and because those two are clearly, one of the first clear an accident, and the assistant is like have a bullet in her heart. So basically, she got shot by someone.
Mm-hmm.
It was
One of
like,
them has like a javelin through the neck. Um,
yeah,
honestly, you see like how I mean it makes sense in that regard, but like because like obviously we saw in the first film how the whole football team died except for the coach, and stuff. So like you see like they're kind of bloody, and you see like they're kind of like jagged clothes and stuff like that. Um, you see these things, but then like your main Maitland characters, they're like fine because they just drowned. They didn't nothing crazy super happened. I mean like because like one of them was like when you see a particular dad in the netherworld, he looks pretty brutal in terms of how he died. I mean, we also talked about Charles. You do get to see Charles here and there throughout the story. Uh, Yeah, he's like just a bunch of legs and like a giant mouth bite cutting off his torso and head, so you can't even see that. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, that's so yeah, they basically just broke the universe again. Now people
which part?
uh because people who commit suicide are the ones who should be doing civilian service instead of the people who basically died in accident. It's actually pretty consistent with that in the entire movie. Like because there's more evidence that they basically forgot the rules. Like I'm not kidding. Tim Burton literally said, "I did not watch the first movie before I make this film."
Yeah, I mean, we talked about some of the other neither world contradictions. Like also the time lapse doesn't exist in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not really surprised with the lack of contradictions. And honestly, I mean, I've said it a few times throughout the video so far, and I still kind of feel this way. I think what's really disappointing about this movie is like I feel like there are good ideas in this movie. I just feel like they seem to be like two or three different movies in this one. That's kind of like forcing this to, I don't know, either be rushed and dragged to account for both stories in that sense. And it's kind of frustrating because like I feel like if you split it up into this one is the second one, and then maybe you save some of the stuff for the third film, I feel like that could be way better. Obviously, if you focus on adding more in terms of the writing on one side versus the other, because like honestly, um, so when we start going back and tie things together, so like obviously they go back to the house, the original house.
Oh, they have a funeral, by the way.
Because they have the funeral.
Do you know what song did they sing?
What?
Do you know the song? The children choir, the
Yeah,
children
yeah,
choir.
yeah.
So
This song from the first movie.
it's the song that the ghosts used to torture them, and they play it in the fucking funeral. Why?
It's a good song.
Literally just nostalgia based.
Dale, I said Dale, the night come and I'm gonna go home.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
but like, I mean, to be fair, they had a lot of fun, even though they were tortured. But like, they were intended to be tortured, but like, they had a lot of fun with it.
and
But
yep,
yeah.
and then we got Burn Gorman as a priest.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, and then this is, and they play this at
Yeah,
a
that's a good point. The the funeral, it's like it's in the trailer as if it was made for the trailer. Yeah, yeah, because like nostalgia song from the first film and all that.
bas-
It makes sense
basic,
context of the story, but like we talked about some of the nonsense that was going on too,
and
especially
and
how we got
Burn.
there. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, and then we got Burn Gorman's character. I was like, what the? And this is also played for jokes, by the way. So Burn Gorman's like, oh, I'm so sorry that your husband died. I was like, I hope he find a better place, and it so goes to other place better. And
So
Dahlia was like,
he's like explaining like like the stages of going to heaven, which I'm not qualified enough to know how that works. Which obviously that was the joke. What?
and yeah, and Dahlia was like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I supposed to laugh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get the joke because, like, in some religions, like their concept of like death and how it works and like how they go to heaven is like a little more complicated than you think. So it's like when you start to explain it, it is like what after hearing it, but like, I mean, still,
Was Dude, I mean, what's
There's
worse is
just
like
there's too many of these things. I'd
what's
be
worse.
fine with I would be fine with this if it was like if you didn't have a lot of the jokes that were earlier.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of my I think that was my thing with it.
and Dahlia knows how this fucking life and death work. Being they literally live with Madeline's. So it's like so it's even more jarring that her response what is that? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we got Lydia and fucking Astrid scene. I was like, I really do not like that scene.
They're talking on the park bench.
Yeah, and Lydia was like, death is hard, and I'm so sorry. I will. And she was like, and it's like, and she was like, okay, I can bring you a therapist if you wanted to because your dad died.
And then that's where Ash was like, "There you go again with this deflection, like
Oh,
handing the
just
responsibility to somebody else instead of."
oh, what would you say here? Do you literally just attend his funeral?
I don't. The thing is, like, I didn't really mind that. Mainly because like I think one thing that so I've heard this a few times and you did spoil this a little bit earlier to me when I didn't ask for it, but it's okay. Was that Lydia is doesn't really have a spine in uh in this movie. Uh, compare her to the first movie and all that, but like so here's my thing. I said a similar thing to The Exorcist as well, because The Exorcist is another example of let's make a sequel to a film that was like decades ago.
Oh,
Um, and yeah, it's like okay. I mean, I guess I could say Reagan is out of character for something that she did, but it's like her character was like 12 in the first film. So am I gonna really judge a 60-year-old uh, for what she did when she was 12 versus what she is doing now at 60? I mean,
you.
I
Uh,
guess.
I mean, are you gonna say that complaining about a patriarchy, it's not out of character? I guess.
What patriarchy?
You're
No, no,
you
no.
seem
That's no, no, no. That's Ellen. That's Ellen.
oh
That's the mother. That's the mother. Yeah, she's
oh
bad. She's terrible. I'm talking about like Reagan. Like Reagan doesn't like her mother anymore because apparently Ellen putting the book and like all that stuff. And it's such an unnecessary line, unnecessary movie in general. It had no reason to tie it back to The Exorcist.
oh
I made a whole video on that. But yeah.
oh yeah. I just seen your video at A9s, and to be honest, they were like, and I was listening. I was like, oh, so I get it. But okay, this is
Yeah.
just oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this
I
I
thought you were
will.
talking about. I thought you were talking about Lydia for a second. It's like I don't remember Lydia talking about the patriarchy.
Oh, oh, don't worry. Because this like next line is what's this is one of the character assassination of Lydia in this scene. So she said, "Astrid, I love your father, but our relationship was over a long time before the accident." Actually, I think it's the next scene, but it's like, dude,
This is
why
kind of
would
my yeah, yeah. The big thing about this movie in general is there is a lot of we need to explain what happened in 36 years, and we have to explain it now because the movie is happening. Like you know what I mean that whole exposition thing where oh remember this conversation we had 6 years ago? Yeah, I remember. Let's talk about it now. It's like that kind of dialogue.
yeah,
Which
uh,
for Astrid, I mean, for Astrid, it kind of makes sense to do that with since she's brand new. Um,
Lydia.
and I guess like the other thing too is like she goes to boarding school, so you can actually get away with that if you write it better. Like remember we had this conversation before you went to boarding school or something like that. Like that would make sense to do that because like you know boarding school takes some time. You don't see her for a while, so when you talk to her again, you kind of have to remind the conversation, and that can bring it back for the audience. But when you have a character like Delia and Lydia, stepmother and stepdaughter, having a bunch of conversations together, and they're talking about the past, but they've lived with each other. They've talked to each other all the time. So it's like to have this whole. Remember when we talked about this? That doesn't really work as well. So
It's
that was
yeah,
my comment on that.
and especially what she said is like, oh, by the way, I know your father died, but that's a long time ago. I was like, dude, why would you tell that to your daughter? Why? It's like, why would you say it now, right after she's kind of resents you, and you know that how did he died as well? Oh yeah, we'll get to how did he die later. It's like,
So the only thing about him is like he didn't. It wasn't really confirmed that he died. His body just disappeared.
oh no,
But
that's
but
yeah.
yeah, but obviously, but that's just like the to be fair part. But
Until later,
until later.
yeah, it's
Um, yeah. So that kind of like, I mean, it kind of goes stale again. Then it cuts back to Beetlejuice, and he has his plan with Bob and the Shrunken Heads, which we kind of forgot to talk about. Um, I know some people were talking about how did Beetlejuice grow his head back after the doctor shrunk it, which I was gonna say
I
like
mean,
he's a
yeah.
shapeshifter. He could do that. Fine.
Yeah, I just gotta say because I have a lot of things to say about this Lydia scene. That's insane, to be honest. There's this funeral. It's like a lot of character assassinations. She said, "I still understand. I still don't understand why you can't see him." I was like, I don't know. It's like this doesn't come with instructions. There is an instruction, you moron. There's a fucking notebook in the afterlife.
Um, I think what it meant, like why her vision stopped, or like why it's inconsistent with seeing the dead and all that stuff. I think that's what it meant. Um, I don't really know. I mean, the other thing is I don't know what happened to the book. Um, because like we do kind of we see the book again later, and then I was gonna get really annoyed. It's like, oh, so there was a yard sale and somebody sold the book to get it to this boy, and it's like, oh, that's super convenient. But like, no, then there's the twist. But we'll get to that. Um, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
because remember Madeline, like Lydia lived with the Deeds for a while, so it's like, of course she would know how does that work.
Lydia is the Deets, but yeah,
Oh, so the Madeleines.
yeah, the mountains, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because it ends with her getting an A on her
And
test.
Astra. Okay, this is the start
Dance.
of Astra's quote unquote arc. She was like, Lydia's quote unquote arc. It's like, actually, it's like you can see any random ghost on your shitty television, but one ghost actually matters to you. You can't see at all. That's the start of the arc.
Yeah, yeah.
To be honest, it's basically character assassination, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. I'm sorry because like as I mentioned before, we did not talk about any of our thoughts of both movies, so I have no idea what Unity had in mind. What he doesn't know what I have in mind, so we're kind of like completely doing this blind in terms of our personal reactions. So forgive us if that sounds pretty messy, but we'll try our best.
And
Um,
I haven't finished the scene yet.
what else do
Sorry.
you have? Yeah.
So in the grave, it says Charles Birdwatcher. If you remember the first movie, he quit bird watching because he found it boring and uninteresting and shit. Uh,
I guess he got his love for it again.
oh god, yeah, it's
He was a home realtor, um, or like he was into real estate and trying to sell land and things like that. So yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of evident Tim didn't rewatch the first movie.
pretty much. Oh shit, give me a second.
Yeah. Though to be fair, just the to be fair part, he wasn't the writer. You got different people, Alfred Goh and Miles Millar. And then you got the story by Alfred Miles and Seth Graham Smith. These are guys. Alfred Goh was known for Smallville. He's also been a part of Wednesday. I mean, a lot of these guys, they've just worked with Tim Burton before.
Yeah, so
Miles Millar.
they basically just got hired because they work with Tim Burton before. So you got to this backstory, right?
Which backstory?
The one with Michael Keaton and Monica Bellucci.
Not yet. I'm pretty sure he explains that to. Who does he explain? Oh, he explains it to the shrunken head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. He explains to Bob, the shrunken head. So he has like a whole squad of shrunken heads in an office. I'm kind of confused as to where this location is because we learn where it is, and then it's like, oh, it's not in the place where he was banished, but he's not in prison. So it's like I'm kind of confused as to where and how he got to these locations in the netherworld, but that's neither here nor there. So he explains the story of the wife. So yeah, it was back when he was back during the Black Plague. He was hungry. He's eating a lot of people who have already died. And then all of a sudden, this bewitching woman, he was smitten with her and fall in love. They get married. They eat chicken heads. You know, the usual. Then they have ridiculous sex. And then she gives a cup of what seems to be wine for them to drink, but it turns out she was poisoning him. So, what's her name? Dolores. So yeah.
So do you have
So
any problem? Yep. So I will have you finish it before I talk about my problems with this scene.
So Dolores, I'm trying to remember the reason why she wanted to kill him, but
No,
like
she's in death cult, and she just wants his life and soul.
Yeah. So as he's dying, he you know, cuts her up.
So do you see any problems with that?
So my only thing is, so Beetlejuice is dying, cutting her up, and all this stuff. Obviously, she still like really loves him, even like in the future sort of thing, or in these current scenes at least.
So here's the so I'm fine with it as like motivation and shit because and because I'm gonna be honest, Monica Bellucci's character is really flat.
Yeah, so she's banging the director, so
yeah, basically. So, but this is the problem here. So Monica Bellucci was like, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking show my poison. It's like before this poison even start off. I was like, why would you do that? Especially there's a fucking axe next to Michael Keaton. Why is there an axe next to him?
So she has magic too. So there's that.
Yeah, there's a convenient axe that Monica Bellucci doesn't know, so that Michael Keaton could just hack her before he died.
Yeah, and like the other thing too is we know that Beetlejuice used to work for the accountant lady in the first film. So she said like Beetlejuice used to be my assistant until he decided to become a bioexorcist because he feels like it's better to mess with the humans than like facilitate a place for dead people. So that's kind of like how he got to become, well, not like evil, but like in his sort of way, the poltergeist that messes with humans and all that stuff. So that's kind of the stuff we got from the first film. We didn't really know too much about what was he like when he was a human outside of I lived during the Black Plague and then I watched The Exorcist 167 times
And
and it
also,
got funnier every single time I saw it. So
and
yeah.
he has an ex-wife. So
Now it's like he has an ex-wife. He did. I think he mentioned an
oh yeah,
ex-wife in the
he
first
mentioned
film.
it. He mentioned it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, and that's kind of my thing. Is like, I actually would be fine with the whole ex-wife, as I kept saying before. It's like I would have been fine if that was like movie 3. But yeah,
Yeah, that's so they just rush everything. I was like, and by the way, because he works for her assistant, and her assist because remember you have to commit suicide in order to become a civilian service, and his role in the underworld is basically civilian service. But he didn't commit suicide. He got killed by someone else. That already doesn't make any sense already. So they broke the rule again.
the only thing I could say is that by technicality he's dying, but like he could still kill himself so that he doesn't die via poison. But that's kind of the thing. We don't really see the ending of that. I guess that's the only saving grace I could say about that. Um, in terms of dying versus dead, how that was like determined. Um, yeah, the thing is
And
like the problem is like I don't remember the suicide rule.
yeah, that's so it's so basically when one of the civilian surface, when the Madeleines just went down to it, and and so they're just talking, waiting in line, and one of the civilian surface like, oh, if only if I know that I would just end up in civilian surface, I would not do this, and she just show her wrist that's being cut open. That's a suicide rule.
Right. Suicide is another world civil servant. So
Yeah,
right, right. Oh, you're talking about the ladies behind the desk asking
yeah.
for take a number, please. Those. Okay, okay. Now I know what you're talking about. Right, and she showed her wrists, which I was like, damn, this is a kids movie. Uh yeah. Now I know what you're talking about. Um,
And so yeah, that's the thing. It's
so
yeah.
I okay. So I guess we learn about who becomes a civil servant. So the other thing too is like Beetlejuice messes around a lot too. So it's like he technically isn't a civil service in that sense because he is a poltergeist. So he kind of messes around all the time and he teleports
No.
all the time as well.
He works for the assistant. He works
I
as
mean,
an assistant.
he used to work with the accountant lady,
So he is basically
the caregiver or something like that.
so basically he is a, so basically he is civilian service.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing is like, so the only thing I could say about that is like, you have that dad character, which we'll get to, how he dies, but he also has that job, as a civil servant. But we'll get to that. The
Yeah,
only thing I could really say is like,
it's
obviously there is something different about the Beetlejuice versus everybody else
oh you can really
because
tell.
he
Yeah.
clearly has like magic that allows him to go anywhere at any time in that sense. But he obviously can't go to the real world, but he can mess with it at the very least. Um, so I guess like that's kind of the thing that they don't really explain because there's nobody like Beetlejuice. Um, in that sense, like in terms of the other characters in the Netherworld. So there's clearly something different about him compared to everybody else.
I'm
That's
not gonna. Yeah, let's continue because it's not gonna work if we got just a couple of theories.
I mean, but that's true by observation.
Yeah, I argue that's also a rule broken, but oh well. It's like, but we haven't even get to that.
Um.
Because
So
I have problem with every single scene in this movie. By the way,
yeah. Uh. All right.
so do you remember the next scene?
No, because we're going all over the place now.
Rory and Astrid arguing.
Right. Because he's being really weird about it.
No,
Uh,
it's actually it's not even. It's like that's what they try to play it as, but then you really listen to the dialogues, and she said that I'm sorry that I'm not here for I know I'm not your dad, but I'm here for you.
I'm
So
sorry. His presentation, the way he looks, the way he sounds, the way he's like, oh, if you need to cry, if you need to, on his shoulders, like I'm here for you and that kind of stuff. It's like
I mean, it's like
no, it's like it's body language, man. It's body
yeah,
language. It's really creepy.
I know, but at the same time, if you because
Like
we
yeah,
know he
I get it. Like if you read the script dialogue, yeah, it's not bad dialogue, but how you say the dialogue is it makes a big difference.
oh yeah, but at the same time, you just have to realize, Lydia's dad died, and of course, and Rory is like, oh fuck, I'm about to marry her. Or at least I'm loving her. Of course, I didn't, and then I see her daughter, which I haven't seen for years. Of course, I'm gonna be a bit weird because I don't know how to approach her. But at the same time, it's like we're doing it in a funeral, and now I'm also trying to help her. And so when you given the context, you just have to remember. So it's fine that she's acting weird, but of course I know what happened at the end of the movie. But in this scene, from what we know about what Astrid know about this person, it's like he should be like he should. So in her point of view, he is like literally trying to help her, just trying to get through it.
I I don't see it that way because like he's using like specifically like if you need me just to cry or to yell at me or let me be the sponge for you, which is like that's just weird, man. It's just like, and then that's what she's saying. It's like, oh, you just want to bond over the trauma of like dead people. Is like, is that? It's like, yeah, it's just very strange. I I just didn't really see anything wrong with that.
I mean, I would say weird shit all the time, just saying. So and people understand what I mean.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. It's just fact of the age gap too,
I mean, and then you factor the fact that he's about to become her father. So
which she doesn't want.
yeah, which it's like okay, we're on time. It's like at the same time, it's like it's just Astrid's reaction. I was like, oh, I don't want you. Just stay away from me. It's like you just suck. Oh, it's like she just read the script. It's like, oh yeah, he's obviously a bad guy.
I still don't agree. He's too weird.
Uh, and so anyway,
I'm not saying it because I watched the movie. I said it in the moment. It's like, what the fuck is he saying?
oh yeah, I agree that he's so weird because he's out of character weird. But at the same time, Asher should not be
I
reacting
wouldn't
like this.
I wouldn't say he's out of character weird. Is like that's kind of been consistent throughout. He's just kind of because he talks in like poems. He talks like in platitudes. He talks. I wrote a poem about your grandfather. Oh yeah, really? Tell me, what was it? Oh yeah, it was great. All that stuff. Yeah, tell me one line. I obviously didn't memorize it, but like it's one of those jokes. But it's like pressuring somebody to say something because you want to sound deeper than you actually are. So it's like I the thing is like that was kind of my thing. It's like I just didn't I was kind of on Astrid's side because like I just found him a little bit weird, and I don't think it's out of character. I just think he was kind of being this way from the beginning. So even with Lydia, somebody he's supposedly supposed to be comfortable with.
Oh, that scene is siding with Asher, by the way. She ends up saying, "Oh, you're just delusion. You just try to explore her delusional fantasy." I was like, "Oh, okay, sure, fuck it."
To be fair, Astrid believed that before. Like she didn't. That was her original train of thought. So it's like I guess like yeah, it just so happens to be that is true. Rory is actually just feeding into her delusion, quote unquote. Um, but it's like, to be fair, Astrid had the same line of thought regardless, um, and she just happened to be correct. I don't think it was a crazy assumption. To be fair,
So
I
there
mean,
was
I guess like you could argue that, oh well, he produced the show, he must believe her, believe Lydia. I mean, maybe. But that's not really, that's not really
fuck. Give
evidence
me a
to.
second.
Yeah. Um. So that's kind of like where, obviously, and I are having a lot of back and forths on Astrid in particular. That was kind of what I was worried about when watching the movie, because I kind of had this perspective given to me before watching the movie. So I kind of had to, I was just kind of watching the movie just to see what exactly are we talking about with Astrid. And I really did not see anything that wrong with her. I mean, outside of being a moody girl, but like, that's not really, I don't really care about that. Um, I don't know. It was just kind of, it was consistent to me. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'll kind of go through the next part, and if Unity wants to go back, we'll go and do that. So after this conversation, it kind of derails. They go outside. Um, Delia's so Delia is also selling the house as well to Jane Jr., the
I remember
daughter
this movie.
the daughter of Jane from the first movie, but like, Jane is not in this movie, just another character who is also named Jane, and then her daughter Jane Jr. Jr. So I don't know. That was kind of weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're,
so
they're like selling the house like right after the funeral is over.
yeah, and I simply for laughs. I just love my life. It's like I don't even know.
Yeah. So Rory obviously gets kind of annoyed about everything, so he pressures Lydia in front of everybody. Well, he tries to give a speech, which uh, Delia says that Charles would not like a speech because he finds them corny. But then he keeps talking, and then it gets to a point where he tries to propose in front of the entire people to Lydia, and then she's not saying yes. Then he's starting to do the depressed card, like, oh, it's like things are broken, your relationship with your daughter, the relationship with your parents, and your relationship with me. Then Lydia folds under the pressure and then agrees to marry Rory
Wrong time, wrong place,
by
man.
by Halloween, which is in 2 days.
Why would you propose it right now? It's not even pressure at this point. It was like everyone's gonna find you weird.
That's what I'm saying. It's like his weirdness is not like not like he's not out of character. It's just like he's just too weird overall. It's like I don't really know, and I don't know. It's I know we're repeating it a lot, but like when that's the extent of his characters, that he's weird. Um, I mean, that's not great, especially if he's supposed to be a parallel to Otho, who has like weird things, but he makes the weird things sound cool. That was kind of his thing. And then obviously that cool facade breaking down at the end was kind of the point. So when you have the weird guy get exposed for being even weirder, cool, I guess. But yeah, so Lydia's saying yes. That causes Astrid to just leave, go on her bike, and just fuck off. Uh, which honestly, I think that's a fair reaction.
Yeah, that's fair. That's the only fair reaction. So it's and I love nostalgia baiting trips she went through. So I don't even want to go through those.
Yeah, she crosses the school. She's just biking around, biking through the red bridge, all that stuff. Yeah, so that happens, and then into a few near death experiences, uh, and then
Uh,
eventually gets to a point where she crashes into a fence and into a tree.
because she forgot she has brakes.
Well, it, okay, so there's a little bit of it's kind of hard to do breaks in that scenario. There was a lot going on though. Here's a few cars, here's a truck. Now here comes like a few people, and then turn around into the fence, and then now you're going downhill. That gets kind of hard, but yeah, true. But I mean, yeah.
To be
So
fair, she didn't even try to brake, so that's a problem.
yeah, so turns out there's a boy up in the treehouse, and he goes down, asks if she's okay. Um, and yeah, they strike up a conversation. Uh, turns out that Astrid kind of likes the guy, and just talking to him about the problems that are going on uh, at home. Uh, they obviously can expect like, oh, your mother's Lydia Dietz. She's like super famous. But yeah, I guess I don't really like that life though. Um, and then obviously it's like my mom just got pressured into getting married uh, during my grandfather's funeral too. So just relaying the information that kind of happened. So obviously the boy is like super understanding and all that stuff. So
I was like, this guy's a ghost. What is all this thing? I was like,
I didn't. I actually did not catch it on that. I didn't catch it there, but like I did eventually pick it up. Like once what's her name? Once she got dropped off, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, now things are starting to make sense.
yeah, and so everything she just characterizes just pretending. But to be honest, I'm gonna be honest, like because that's break the rules again. So in order to see a ghost, you have to believe in ghosts. She doesn't believe. Jenna Ortega doesn't believe in ghosts.
So
Oh, it's not. It's not a one-off thing. It's it there.
no, because like what Lydia said in the first film too is like strange and unusual, or you have to believe that strange and unusual activity, which Lydia herself was strange and unusual, was kind of the loophole. I guess like, well, Astrid is not really strange or unusual. I mean, being emo is not strange. It's the other thing too is like she did also hit her head and go through like a few near death experiences. Um, I don't know if like these things are factoring into what's going on. That part isn't very clear. I will
Oh, don't
admit.
worry about it. They got retcon it later because they got fucking show a bunch of ghosts got seen by normies. I was just so done at that point. A bunch of normies just buying candy.
Um,
And so do you know how I know that this guy's the ghost? Because this scene is literally just a copy and paste scene from Wednesday. This is
yeah,
literally
that's why I don't know.
yeah. I was like, okay, these writers wrote Wednesday, and Wednesday in the show met this guy she loves for fuck all reason, and I was like, oh, I love you. I met you. You're socially adorable, and after I just did that after I went in some stupid shit. I was like, yeah, he's a bad guy. Because these writers can't write anything new.
Um. Yeah. So a few things happen. More stuff with Rory. Trying to be really good. Nobody wants this marriage to happen. Lydia's just kind of like trying to let it happen for. So she has like this ideology like if I don't ever do it, then I'll never be able to do it, and that's not the right thing to do, and all this stuff. Which okay, I guess. Not really much going on there. Um, but yeah, Delia, Astrid, nobody wants this marriage to happen. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough.
So
What do you call it? So,
jeez, you skip a lot of scenes right now.
what other scenes are there?
So there's the Willem Dafoe scene, the Monica Bellucci scene, but to be honest, those two scenes are basically just pointless. So
Yeah,
we're just gonna skip those. But here's a Beetlejuice scene, which they figure out that Charles Dietz died, and that was like, well, Lydia returned, so he has his chance again. It's nothing, and
Right.
that scene is fine. It's like every time Beetlejuice is
Do you
on
know
screen, I'm like,
why he wants to marry Lydia in the first film? Like, do you know the
no,
reason why?
no, some ex-girlfriend reason. To be honest, it's like the Joker thing. It's like he's just crazy. What?
No, so the reason why he needs to marry a human or like he needs to have a marriage, so the reason why he needs to marry a human is that if he does, that binding like there's the whole concept of like if your marriage is marriage is through like is like a commitment, like a bond kind of thing. So the idea is that if the poltergeist marries a human, that means she is allowing him to enter this world so he can do whatever he wants on planet Earth without any restrictions. That's why he wants to marry a human in general. It doesn't really have to be Lydia particularly. He just likes Lydia because she
Weird.
can relate to him and like the weirdness kind of a thing. So yeah, that's why he wants to marry in general, because he needs to marry somebody in order to wreak havoc on Earth without any restrictions. So yeah.
I'm gonna say that this is like because like Monica Bellucci, one of the first scenes are just whatever, but Michael Keaton on screen is like, yeah, that's cool. But that just set up the plot. So now we got a scene of Dahlia just screaming on screen while the camera is taking pictures of her.
Yeah, because she wants to blow up the pictures around the house, things like that. Yeah. So honestly, so then she sent Lydia sends Asher to go upstairs because of there was a particular reason why she had to go up there, outside of just the nostalgia reason to see the model
Oh,
again.
no, actually before that, do you remember that line about the Magdalens?
The Maitlands, yeah. Oh, we
Yeah,
talked about it before.
that's where it is. They found
What was the you're gonna see the ghost from up there? It's like no, the Maitlands weren't able to. They were able to move on because they found a loophole.
That's it. That's the explanation.
Yeah, yeah. So she goes upstairs and all that. She goes through the picture book and she sees she also sees a flyer of Beetlejuice. She doesn't pay attention to it right away, so she's just looking at the photos. Lydia comes upstairs, talks about being pregnant, and then watching a movie with her old husband, and all that stuff. Some mother daughter stuff. They're finally being nice to each other. Until the just talks about. I also found this flyer. I don't know what it was, and
Oh,
then
don't.
Beetlejuice. Yeah,
I mean, I actually kind of like this scene because like
yeah. I like the scene.
I mean, the only part I don't like it's like at the end was like, I was locking you up forever. It was like, no, just say it's like, and just leave. That's all you need to do. Okay, that's a bit overreaction, but I guess she's traumatized. So, oh well.
Yeah, because like Lydia kind of does it throughout the film, like heavy breathing, that exercise and stuff like that. But yeah.
And then we got the Dahlia and Lydia scene. Oh,
Yeah.
I really do not like that scene really. It's like because this scene is literally just like, oh shit, let's cram something of what happened to Lydia in 36 years.
Yeah, I mean, part of it too is like this is again the. Remember when this happened a few years ago, or remember when this happened during the 36 years? Like it was like that kind of dialogue, so that was kind of
And
annoying.
I mean, and also the fact this is the equivalent of like Luke Skywalker tried to kill Kylo Ren in his sleep. So I'm gonna break this fucking down.
What was? Yeah, go ahead. I don't have these kind of comparisons, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, so it's like somehow Richard's dad is my fault. And you blame me for your mother's. She's not dead. I didn't blame you. I resented you. That's a difference.
Right. The Lydia's like real mother is alive. Just which is I guess divorced and pretty normal.
You remember?
I don't really catch what was the Luke Skywalker part.
No, this is just a how. And she said, "This is because we haven't started yet." And then Lydia said, "No, Dahlia said, but you resented me forever." Yeah. And I don't and then she said, "But now I like you." Lydia said, "You only did because I sold myself for fame, and so we have gotten closer." I was like, oh, so the ending means nothing in the first movie. The only reason they Dahlia even cares about her is because she resented her for selling fame.
But the thing about that in particular is that we kind of already figured that kind of had to happen if she has a talk show about ghost talk, like even from the opening scene. So it's like I I don't really. I guess it's like it's kind of clarification as to what's going on with
I mean,
Lydia in that sense, but like
here's the thing.
the fact that it opens with a of her talking about having the show, that kind of like indicates that yeah, she kind of sold something for fame or sold something for money
Oh
at the
no,
very least.
oh no. The problem is like Dahlia and Lydia confirms that they only get close because Lydia sold herself for fame instead of any events happening in the first movie. I was like, why would you say that? It's like you could just say it was like, oh, we're still close. Yeah, after that event happened. Well, we got even closer after I sold myself for fame. So you can just say that, but no, they said, oh, the only reason is because I sold myself for fame. I was like,
Okay. Okay.
that's the first part. And then she was like, I was shocked that Richard died. And Rory had just lost his fiance in the skiing accident. We're in the same sorrow circle and we connected. He was turned on you, and Dahlia was like, he was turned on by you at the lowest point of your life. Lydia was like, oh, that's not the point. This is just dialogue that they fucking know already, and they just spell it out for no reason.
Yeah. That was what I was talking about, and still weird. Overall, but yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
And so now Lydia was just showed Dahlia as like, oh, Beetlejuice, he's back. I saw not his back. I found it in the attic. And Dahlia was like, "Oh, so? What do you mean so? It's fucking Beetlejuice."
Yeah. What else? What else?
Oh, that's not the end. The worst part is the
Yeah,
ending.
I know there's more. I know there's. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so and Dahlia said, from the hanging honors from this thing, where is the obnoxious little goth girl who tormented me all those years ago? It's time to find her.
That's like a trailer line. That doesn't
Yes.
make that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they put it here. So what it means is Lydia stop caring about ghosts and shit and just like do everything for fame. I mean, she of course she still believes it, but she doesn't care about it anymore, which is a complete betrayal. It's like,
My thing is like, this is the annoying thing. I hate. I'm starting to hate like time gaps, like 36, like all these like time gaps between sequels, and this, I have to like kind of assume where could she? Because like again, we're still arguing about this is what she did when she was 17. Why is she not like this 36 years later? I mean, that's kind of my problem. Is like I don't really know. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
oh yeah, I understand.
That's just the frustrating thing about me with these sequels nowadays. It's like I guess it's like it's not you could make a story out of it. I just need to know how we got there. But the problem is because of these 36 years gap or like any other sequel gaps or stuff like that, I have to kind of know where do you go from this point to get to this point and that it makes sense. I could I see Lydia losing her belief in ghosts? I guess it would have to depend on what, because like she's best friends with two ghosts, so or she was until the loophole, whatever that means. Um, but like, it is tough. It is very tough.
So yeah,
And
so
I also don't know if it's because Delia just doesn't understand what like she's just simplifying it because she doesn't understand what exactly Lydia knows and what she doesn't know. Which fair, then Lydia should explain herself. That's kind of the point of that kind of conversation. But she doesn't do that, so it must be true. And if that's true, that doesn't make sense.
yeah,
That's kind of the annoying thing about these long gap sequels. But yeah,
yeah, so this is like the worst line for me. That's the end of the conversation. Just Dahlia's like, oh, you basically lost yourself out of nowhere because you sold yourself for fame. I was like, why would you do that to Lydia? Ending in this scene. I was like, you destroy your character. There's no way she's not gonna care about ghosts anymore, and she's just doing it for fame.
so I've seen this argument too with Lydia in general. Is that I feel like she's not really Lydia. She's more Joyce.
Oh yeah, she is Joyce.
She's a lot more tame than Joyce. I'll give her that. But yeah. Meanwhile, what else? What else?
So and then
So
after
this isn't the Halloween party yet.
no, it's like the dad kid just shows Jen Ortega around the house. Remember, he killed his mom and stuff. Okay, spoiler. So his mom, it seems fine. She has nothing in her eye, like we will see later. And Jen Ortega sees it. She didn't see anything. So keep this in mind.
Yeah, it's just like the placement of these things, and the dad is always sitting in front of the TV. So you can't see anything there either. So she goes upstairs, sees his room, talks about how cool she is. She talks about how cool he seems to be, and it's gonna be Halloween. Are you excited? It used to be my favorite holiday because of my dad, but now that this marriage is gonna happen, it's probably gonna be the worst holiday. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
So let's make it special. Like, let's just get a bunch of candy. We'll give them out to the kids. Dress up in costumes. You know the jazz, and
And,
Yeah, that seems nice.
I mean, and
But
then
before
Jenna,
but
yeah.
before they go, it's like sees that book.
Oh yeah,
Well,
that's
oh
the
wait, no. The book happens like after the Halloween stuff, I think.
yeah. So
But things are supposed to be a little weird now. At this point.
and so and so let Jenna Ortega's just say, oh, this is how my dad died, and she's also creepy. Goes to all those creepy places in the world. He got fall off the boat, got killed by a fish in the Amazon. She's sad.
I don't know if she knew that specific detail. She just knows like he's been there and they've never found his body. That was the extent as to that conversation. But yeah,
So yeah,
what
it's
else?
so and yeah, that's the thing I want to keep in mind. So how did he died? So I'm gonna be honest. I thought, oh, this could be something. If the review is not true, I was like, oh, you just this means nothing now because the boy's just lying to her.
Yeah. So that so they go back to the house. So Delia buys snakes. Because like she wants to do an offering or something like that. It's like, don't worry, they're defanged. But actually, before that, something bad happens. Lydia goes back upstairs and she strikes a conversation with the big guy. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because Rory goes up there too. And that's probably your one entertaining scene, at least the scene that people talk about mostly in this
Oh.
movie.
Oh yeah. Here's the thing. Lydia should be like home, home, home immediately instead of just, oh, look at the simple. No. She should be yelling that already if she's that traumatized.
Well,
Oh, in the first movie, how did they leave?
well,
Yeah.
traumatized, but yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously this whole thing. So this is kind of the start of Rory kind of showing that he doesn't believe Lydia at all, because like Lydia is going to say, okay, if we're going to get married, I'm going to have to tell you the truth, something that's really traumatic for me, but I would need you to understand that this is it. So she explains everything that happened in the first movie. This guy, this poltergeist is really evil. He's trying to come back to the mortal world and all that stuff. But, he's saying, so we went to couple therapy. You have like a shared delusion, maybe. So it obviously doesn't believe her and all that stuff. Then he says, so I'm doing this for your own good. Beetlejuice. And
And to be honest, all they need to say is like, don't say her name ever. Don't need, but she specified, don't say her name 3 times. Don't say his name 3 times. It's like, okay, that's my problem. Just say,
yeah,
just it's weird that she specified that part.
yeah. The only thing I could say about that is like, okay, saying it once is not doing anything. I guess say it again, and then eventually you'll figure it out that okay, so it's 3 times.
Yep.
But yeah, it's kind of hard because he's obviously being not like a jackass. He's trying to show that this is not real. So I'll do it by just saying it 3 times and all that. But yeah, I mean, I get his logic. Obviously, he doesn't know what's going on, so that's how they end up down there. And yeah,
And yeah, and then it's like because Lydia didn't say just say home, home, home. So of course she just got her mouth shut by Beetlejuice, and Beetlejuice is like, I'm gonna play around with you guys. Lol. I was like, this is so entertaining.
so she the first thing she says was Beetlejuice. Then she closed the mouth. But first, they kind of had to go downstairs first, so there is some time to move
Yeah.
around in terms of like the at least like I get trauma, but like there was some time where she could have figured. Okay, I should probably start saying the words now. But yeah. So he gets locked up. So
So
this was another commentary that people had. People really thought the Beetlejuice guts scene was all CGI. No, that was all practical.
yep, pretty much.
Tim Burton showed that. So yeah, yeah. Don't. The one thing I would say, I would not doubt Tim Burton is that his use of practical effects. He's very very good at that. It's also refreshing too in 2024. Uh, but yeah,
Of course. And then Beetlejuice just let her go because fuck it.
right. Obviously,
fair,
Rory
yeah.
is scared shitless,
Yeah.
which is fair. The baby, the baby comes out of Lydia's guts actually, which is pretty traumatic. I'm not gonna lie, and that actually comes back later in the movie, which we'll get to.
Yep.
Um,
So
so yeah,
Beetlejuice like, I'm gonna find you forever though. And I'm gonna stalk you and someday and you'll be wanting me. I was like, I love Beetlejuice, man. The character. Of course, and then of course I don't know why would they just and then I just don't understand. And then Lydia just ripped the tape off her mouth. Was like, is that how it works?
it's like stitching. It's not even like tape.
Which is like that's gonna hurt you.
Yeah. Right. Because like I was about to say because like he did that to the to Gina in the first film, but she's a ghost, so that's a little different.
So yeah, now it doesn't make sense. Oh, and then he was like, and then
Got
Beetlejuice
strong
was
lips, I guess.
like, yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only part I don't like, and the fact that they don't immediately say the words.
Yeah. So once she takes it off, home. They're back home. Rory is scared out of his mind. Still doesn't believe anything is real, but like it's definitely it was. He just believes it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. Okay, fair enough, I guess. So yeah, she just yeah, it was a nightmare. Let's go. Let's get out of here. And
And then Lydia just
then they go downstairs and they talk about
by the
I
way,
got some bad news. Oh, does this mean that the wedding is off? No, it's not that. It's just we gotta get out of here. I actually got to see the bad guy, so let's get
yeah,
out of here.
and then
What
they
about the
just
wedding? We just need to be safe. Yeah, and then but then Astrid is like, I can't go now. I have a date.
um wow, and then remember Dahlia played this for laughs again. It was like, but what about the wedding? I was like, motherfucker, she literally just told you Beetlejuice is here. I mean,
So
of course she doesn't.
to be fair, that was the one where she was capping because like she doesn't like Rory at all. Um, I think what she was talking about was like, what about my snakes? That was the one she was talking about.
I was like,
That was
wow,
the
you.
joke. That was the joke. But yeah,
I was like, can you stop undercutting it with jokes all the time?
yeah, and it's like, oh, so I defang the. She says it twice. I defang the snakes. So that's gonna be important.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, and the fact that she even buys snake for no reason.
she's eccentric. So
Yeah.
yes. So not happy. So a few things happen. Delia seals off the attic. Let's not go up there anymore. That bad news, all that stuff. Um, and
And yeah,
they're
so
like, okay, this should be fine. We'll let Astrid go to the date. Um,
which
and then
is,
once that's over, we'll go back home.
I mean,
It's kind of the train of thinking.
and then they just just lock the attic. Was like, yeah, fine. The only thing I don't like is like Lydia was literally just explaining to Dahlia. I was like, oh, I met Beetlejuice again. And then instead of Dahlia say anything, Asher just comes in and just cut it off. I was like, oh, that's a missed opportunity. Dahlia could have said something to just comfort her daughter, but no, it's like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, definitely one of the. This is a very common problem, even for people who like the movie. Is like there's a lot of characters in this movie. There's a lot of characters in this movie, and we haven't talked about two of them that much because they're barely in this movie.
And they only have one motive.
One of them is the villain of the movie.
It's there's nothing to talk about Monica Bellucci and Willem Dafoe. They literally just have one thing going on.
At least Willem has like, at least Willem talks. Monica doesn't even talk. She says
Yeah.
like two lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll get to her. We'll get to her. We're like 2/3 of the movie done, but yeah, we'll
And
get
then
to her.
and so Lydia just drives Astrid because I hope you don't remember. So Lydia said, "I want to talk to the parents." Like, no. Astrid was like, "No." I mean, my problem is, what would Lydia even need to talk to her parents? It's just a fucking date.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I know you don't like me saying that. When you're in high school, I'm sure you don't want your parents to meet the other guy's parents. That's not cool. I mean, especially if it's like the girl's parents or the opposite sex, of course. Yeah, you're gonna embarrass me. Don't do that. You'll be weird. I mean,
Yeah,
that makes sense. But yeah.
of course. Yeah, of course, because this movie is gonna establish that she never cared about Astrid for a while, and she broke up with her other husband. So I was like, oh, okay, now you cared, and this is the way. Instead of just like, can I come in with you? It's like, no, she just literally jumps to, I'm gonna meet your parents.
It's like we're not. I mean, we're not six. We're just hanging out. Come on, guys. Like, chill. It's like, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Uh, yeah. So she could see the boy up in the attic. There's nothing wrong with him. Seems like a cool guy. And yeah, she goes upstairs and it's like, oh, if we're gonna get ready out, we should probably get out there. It's like, actually, no, I wanted to. I was kind of kidding about all that. I just wanted to be with you. And then that leads to that gross kiss.
And
I'm not biased at all, by the way.
yep.
Sabrina Carpenter was better.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, and now this is the reveal that he's a ghost. Yay.
Right. So the way that it happens is that so while they're kissing, it turns out starts flying. And that's the proof that this is not a normal guy. So I guess my first comment is, okay, so I guess a human can touch a ghost and not go through it. I guess the first film kind of does it because like Gina Davis does like pat Lydia on the shoulder and Lydia can feel that. So I guess I guess I don't really know how that rule works with ghosts.
So yeah, I mean, to be honest, the thing is like she can just see him for no reason. I mean, they just lampshade. I was like, oh, you can see me. That was surprising. I was like, they didn't even try to explain it.
So it's like he's saying usually nobody could see me, but then when you crashed into my treehouse, like it was the first time anybody saw me, and then I learned you're the daughter of Lydia Dietz. So yeah, so I guess they're trying to say like it's hereditary.
That's not true because like as long as you believe in ghosts or just being weird and shit, you can see ghosts. That's always the rule.
The only thing about that in general is like if they want to do the hereditary thing, I mean it's like okay, then at some point somebody's got to be like not super special. Like Lydia has the sight, so she's special. Now she has a daughter who is also special. Okay, I guess. But what about people who just don't believe in ghosts? I mean, it's people who believe in ghosts, but they're not Lydia or any of the Deets. I mean, there's got to be somebody that believes in ghosts. I mean, Hell, you got a lot of people in this world that believes in ghosts. That doesn't mean everybody should be able to see ghosts. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like if you walk into, well, if it doesn't make sense if this happens, then why does this happen? Then yeah, we'll be here all day. That's the only.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's saying that he's a ghost. Um, he he doesn't tell the whole story, but he fell and broke his neck, and that's how he died out of his treehouse. Um, and so he's saying that he wants to restore his life, and Astrid is like, no way. But then, due to manipulation, I could show you your dad. All right then.
Yeah, I was like, this is you
Honestly,
literally believe this guy?
the only thing I'll say, to be fair on that part, is like ghost. I've seen you be a ghost, and I've seen how you can fly and all that stuff. But like, yeah, there's too much going on here, and honestly, and this is kind of my thing, is like where I really liked, or at least not liked, but I think this could be an interesting movie too idea. Because honestly, like Astrid has a lot of similarities to Lydia enough, but like she's still like a different character from Lydia, so it's not like a total retread of Beetlejuice 1. Where you could do this, like a ghost is trying to take advantage of her to get himself back to life. And then I guess it's like a different way of expanding the lore as to how could a ghost like take a human out of their consent to bring themselves back to life and switch the living person, the flesh bag as they call them, to die instead. So it's like, I could see that being a movie. And honestly, it's like that was like where I was like disappointed. It's like, oh, like this seems like a movie to me. It's like, why don't we just finish this? Like it seems like this boyfriend is going to be the bad guy. But then it's like, wait, Monica Bellucci's in this movie too. What does this have to do with that? And that's the beauty. It doesn't. It has nothing to do with the story. I don't know. I don't know what you thought in general.
Hmm. So I mean, to be honest, I was so bored. I was like, fuck. I was like, I mean, if they could do something interesting about it in this one, I was like, oh, fine. But no, this is literally just nothing.
I guess my question is, would you have rather had Monica Bellucci as the villain, or would you rather have this boyfriend as the villain? Like if you had to pick one.
Hmm. I mean, if that's the case, I'll say that you could just balance them, but I'd say just do both, kinda. At the same time, I don't really care as long as you execute it well. Of course, I will at this point just use the boyfriend as the villain.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. Is like I don't mind as either of them being the villain. I just think one should be in one movie and one should be in a second movie, because clearly they want to do Beetlejuice 3. Like they've even said that now, and they've already made the budget after 1 week. So yeah, they're gonna make a sequel. I don't like now. I don't know what they're gonna do, because you kind of like wasted the ex-wife storyline, and technically, death is the same way as how Beetlejuice died. We'll get to that.
Yep.
So technically you can bring her back, but is it necessary at this point? I don't know.
Yeah, they literally have a new rule. Was like, oh, actually, you can actually bring people back from a death from the Notebook. Was like, wow, everyone should be taking advantage of that rule.
Yeah, it's very, very it's very all over the place. So yeah, meanwhile, back at home, uh Rory's giving out like fruits instead of candy. What a nerd. Um And inside the house, Jane Jr. is talking to Lydia. Sorry about selling the house and all that stuff. Um, then talking about like how she's gonna leave. Um, they're not,
Yeah.
they're not gonna leave now because Astrid is on a date with some boy
Yeah,
on
and
this
yeah.
street, and is like, she's like, oh, I can never sell in that street because there's this weird house over there. Weird house? What are you talking about? Oh, there was a murder house over there. Murder house? What does that mean? And then Jane Jr. Just talks about how there was this one boy named Jeremy who was a murderer. And he just flat out killed his mom and dad. And then he was hiding from the police. And when the police got close, he tried to get down from the treehouse. And then he snapped his neck and then he died. And I've been trying to sell that house for a long time, but nobody wanted to be there. And so, what's the address of that house? Says the address. That's where she is right now. And then, yeah, that's all the stuff. Lydia tries to try to save Astrid. But yeah, that's
Oh
kind of
yeah,
the scene.
and so she just yeah. By the way, there's so the mother actually has a faint stab on her eye, and yeah, that's teleported here instead of the scene beforehand. You can literally see that she has nothing in the eyes. If you rewind the scene,
Which mother?
the dead mother, the dead boy's mother.
Oh. Hold on. We can't talk about rewind. We're not supposed to admit that on camera. Yeah, so we need to work on that. Let's see. Yeah, so when it comes to right, when it comes to what's going on, so there's a few intercuts going on here. So she goes to the house. Astrid is told by Jeremy that okay, so we need to go into the netherworld to make this possible. So he makes the door. He does your little draw the chalk on the thing, draw a door handle, knock 3 times. Oh, that totally works, doesn't it? It does. So yeah.
Yeah, I
Then
was like, yeah. So yeah, they didn't draw the handle. So I was like, what?
I guess it's not necessary. um, I guess some doors are like push, and you don't need a door handle on that. But yeah. Um. So yeah. So Jeremy's like, oh, you're not able to go in until you say this incantation. So Astrid starts to say the incantation. Um, I've always find these things kind of convenient because like, oh, you're pronouncing it correctly on the first try. That's great. Um, I don't know. It's just I guess I don't know if it's a nitpick, but it's like every time we see these incantation things, especially by first timers, like there's never like a pronunciation problem. It's like, oh, that's not the right word. It's actually this. I don't know. That just seems like something that should happen more.
Mm,
That's just a nitpick, I guess. I'm sure Agatha will have something like that.
I mean, and I was like, dude, why don't just Lydia just do the same thing? Just knock on the door and just go in the world. Instead, do you know what did she do?
So, well, right when Lydia goes in, she looks around. Then now the mother is like revealing. I got a stab through that eye. The dad also killed as well. So now they're like these guys who were like not facing anybody. Now they're facing to Lydia. So now we know that these are dead guys. So now the characters have to react as we see them. Convenient. Yeah, yeah. And then she goes up, but Astrid already walked through the door sealed. Lydia was not able to stop. Um, she does see the page, like she sees the reading page as to what got Lydia inside of the netherworld. So at that point, why don't you say the spell? But no,
Hmm.
um, this forces her to go to Beetlejuice and ask him to like
Yeah.
help save
So
Astrid, basically.
yeah. So it's just the same thing in the first movie. But in the first movie, that's literally have no choice. This movie, she has all the choices in the world.
Yeah. And it's like another thing too is like she's older now, so like when she was 17, she probably didn't have that kind of idea as to like what exactly she could do. Like especially there's a chapter in there that's like, oh, this can take you to hell. Whereas actually you're kind of right. In that situation, the Maitlands were dying because of the exorcism. Like if he continued that longer, they would go into the lost souls, that that dimension where it looked terrible to live in that stasis. It's basically death for dead people. So um yeah, so that's obviously why she goes to get Beetlejuice. In this film, as you mentioned correctly, yeah, like it's not like she closed the book. Like Astrid left the page exactly on where she was, so it's like I don't know, if you skim through that page, you might find out what did Astrid read, and then if you find out what Astrid reads, you probably
Yep.
will figure out that that's probably what you should do too, without Beetlejuice. But no, we need to homage the first film, even though it doesn't make as much sense.
I hate my life with this. Because that,
The problem
yeah,
is this is so irritating because like this film, it's not that hard, and that's kind of I think that's what makes it more disappointing to me than like I don't know. Alien Romulus is pretty bad for no reason.
yeah, this movie is just a lot of lost potential, and they cram a lot of things. So are we gonna talk about like Dahlia just commits suicide?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before. These scenes are kind of like intercut at the same time, uh, which which is hilarious. So
Oh, it's like, and she was like, oh, all their fangs are ripped off. Was like, dude, you can clearly see that all the snake's fangs are there in the scene. What are you talking about?
yeah, eccentric grandma. So she's blind with wealth, I guess. Yeah, so she says her sacrifice to Charles, I guess. Again, so much focus on this criminal. I don't know why. Um, but anyway, she
Yay.
she gets bitten by the snake and she ends up in the netherworld and is like, oh hell.
Yep.
I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, basically.
Oh
I saw.
hell.
Yeah. So instead of just, you know,
I think this was later because I think Astrid was in the underworld first and then they cut to Delia's death. But yeah,
and
yeah,
another
something like
rat,
that.
I was like, dude, she's not gonna be in the underworld immediately. She's gonna stuck in home. Why are
Right.
you so
Yeah.
stupid?
Lore. It's hard.
And then Beetlejuice just sent a bunch of people. So Beetlejuice just sent a bunch of like minions up on the real
Right.
world.
So the thing is like because Beetlejuice can't actually make a door, he's not allowed to do that. So he makes a bomb instead. He ignites the bomb and all that stuff, blows the door hole open. Beetlejuice tasks Bob to, hold down the fort. Uh, right. another thing too to keep in mind is that he turned Bob into like a Beetlejuice clone essentially, so that you know if uh if the old ex-wife is here, then she'll suck your soul while I skedaddle, that kind of thing. So Bob is the real hero of this movie. Let's be honest.
Yep. So, so yeah, that's and by the way, so do you remember the scene that all the normal people just can see ghosts? Literally, the minions that Beetlejuice sent, they can see it. Was
I
like what?
we're almost there. We were almost there. Like basically, first what happens is that the two of them, Lydia and Beetlejuice, they go away. Bob is going to explain as to all right, so this is what we do. But the guys, the other guys, they look around. There's a hole in the wall. And instead of listening to Bob, they just run out the door. So yeah, and then they end up in the real world. They're causing mayhem. Not like mayhem, but like obviously they look scary. Big guys with little heads. That's kind of weird and scary. And yeah, and everybody can see them. Now we can talk about what you're talking about.
So yeah, everyone sees it for no reason. It's not like oh maybe Jenna Ortega hit her head so she can see it. It's like no, literally normal people can see it now. There's not even leeways at this point.
Yeah. Um. Right, and I guess another thing we should mention too. Obviously, Lydia, because Beetlejuice does not work without a like. If you want to call me, you need to. I have to get something in return. It's like, all right, fine, I'll marry you. Um. So yeah, that's kind of the point, and obviously, the idea is like if he gets married, then he can stay in the mortal world, and then he can also get out of his commitment to Dolores, the vengeful ex-wife, and murder in the afterlife. So yeah, something that's something as well. Which about like when he started talking about, oh yeah, here's my ex-wife, and he's like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I need to save my daughter. It's like that was the kind of thing that's like that was the kind of thing where, man, you guys just want these two stories and they just don't coincide at all. Because like obviously, Lydia's gonna be like, what ex-wife? I don't care about her. I need to save my daughter and all that stuff. So it's fair. It's fair. But like with Beetlejuice, it's like, I don't care about your daughter. I'm trying to run away from my ex-wife. So it's like, yeah, these two stories just don't collide at all. And now they have to collide because the movie's almost over.
Yeah. Do you know how many more minutes? 20. Kidding me.
Yeah, and I'm still at the part where it's like, where is this ex-wife? She still hasn't shown up at this point.
Yeah.
She
And
has been gone for a long time. Nowhere to be seen. Even Willem Dafoe has more scenes.
yeah, and then the ex-wife was like, "Oh, she just comes back and just kill more people. That's all. Oh, that's all she did. She just comes on screen, and just suck the souls."
Yeah, I mean, Monica Bellucci just sucks souls in general. That's kind of her thing. But
Yep.
I mean, they make that joke too, so I'm not. You can't sue me for that. But yeah,
And
and
so
then
the boy
right,
strikes
you-
Jenna Ortega. I was like, "Oh, actually, now I was actually fooling you. Now you gave me my life for you."
right. So the idea is that, uh, yeah, and it's like, so I'm giving you my transparent thoughts, like when I was like live listening, like watching the movies. Like, it's like, dude, this just seems like a better idea to focus the movie on this. I don't know why we're focusing so much on this ex-wife and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, it's like being tricked. I guess I was also because I also said before, like I was told that Astrid was the worst character in the movie, so I was kind of
Uh,
in that
just maybe
regard.
just don't. Yeah.
But yeah, because I didn't see anything like that kind of that justified it, to be honest. Um,
So and she's now just a plot device. So she just got tricked because she's a moron. Of
but it's
course,
like it's not. It's like
of
it's not
course you
that. it's not that crazy, is what I'm trying to say.
I, but she's a moron, so she got tricked, and then her fucking dad sees her. Yeah, she's working the next counter.
Yeah, so the thing about that is like we don't really know how he died, and they've even said like because we haven't seen his body, so we don't even know what happened to him or anything like that. So it's very possible that even in the Amazon, he probably killed himself and got eaten by a lot of fish. So
Maybe, but even that was like, dude, she's literally next to her. Are you kidding me?
yeah, another world.
Uh,
So just going on. She's they're trying to send her to the Soul Train, where the souls get sent basically beyond and will never return, that kind of thing. So Lydia is like looking around. Beetlejuice leaves her because he's still trying to hide from uh, the ex-wife, and
yep.
Delia's just around too. Uh,
So,
she sees a picture. She goes to the office. She kisses Beetlejuice's picture. She destroys Lydia's picture, and she doesn't know who Lydia is, by the way. And yeah,
and that's the scene. To be
that's the
honest with you,
scene.
because
Bob
it
is
was
just hiding under the desk, very scared. Fair
yeah.
enough. Makes sense. She's a terrifying lady.
Hmm. And and then
Am I
so
the
let's
one?
just speed.
Okay.
And then so what's it called? Astrid got dragged into a train station. The police just left. So Jana could easily just leave the train. But no, Lydia comes in at the right moment and she finds her and Lydia drags her off the train. It was like, wow, the timing, man.
I was kind of distracted on like the people that were in charge of the Soul Train. It's just very, I don't know, that was just very on the nose. That and the laundromat. Um, I don't know. Those scenes were kind of obligatory. Let's just leave it at that. Um, but yeah, goes to the Soul Train, gets her out. Not that difficult. There are some guards who figure there's something wrong going on. Then Richard comes in, and honestly, again, this is kind of my thing. I feel like we should have focused more on Richard and more on. I feel like we should have focused more on Richard just to like get that idea first off, so that he's not Deus Ex Machina right away. I mean, he'll always end up being Deus Ex Machina in that sense, because like, oh, he's in the Netherworld because he died. Of course, he's there. Uh, but then it's like, you know, but then
Yeah.
all this focus on Charles, because like Charles is like they have a lot of comedy bits with him too. It's a torso that has no head. Please laugh. He talks through his spine, uh, with blood spurting out. That's very funny.
Okay, so and then I'm just gonna say this. So Lydia and Astrid ran to the exit, and it's the fucking place in the first movie again, the desert place.
Yeah, the moon,
Yes, so they're
the
dead.
Saturn moon. Yeah. But no. Richard pulls a hand from the door, and
I'm not even gonna bother asking what would the exit be in the fucking desert world, which is preventing people from escaping.
so the
This is
thing is like, because obviously the first film had doors as well.
duh. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I guess it's like I guess if it didn't make sense to you in the first film, then I guess it won't make sense in general.
I mean, to be honest, the first one is because to stop people from escaping, and this one is literally labeled exit, and it's also stopping ghosts from escaping. Is this supposed to be stopping them from So if there's a ghost fire here, so you're just gonna be trapped there forever, I guess.
But I feel like the Netherworld is like a similar concept in that regard. Because like obviously, like if you escape where you're not supposed to be, you'd end up in the desert world. But like even in both cases, like even like because like the Maitlands, they go into the Netherworlds and then they come back. Though they come back like later in time usually, which again this film doesn't introduce any time stream or anything like that.
Hmm.
So there's like, I mean there's some connections there. Uh, if you're in the wrong place, you go into the Netherworld. You go into the desert world, things like that.
Hmm. So yeah.
But yeah, Richard, uh, the girls, they have a moment, kind of
Okay.
talk,
This lasts for
which
like 20 seconds, I think. It's I'm gonna summarize it. All it said is I miss you too. There's nothing substantive. Like how did he die really? No
you
one
can
asked any.
see you can see how he died. Look at his
Yep.
body.
Yep. He just got killed by dropping off the boat. So it's like he clearly did not commit suicide.
Unless you want to argue that he drowned, he could have swam up, or I don't know. That's kind of I don't like the whole thing about suicide in that sense, because like now you have to talk about intent and what's like real and what's not. And it's like I guess in that sense, if you drown, it's like I guess it's not murder because like you're drowning yourself, but like that's not really suicide either. That's like made a mistake. I don't know, but like obviously I don't want to go too much in depth with that, but I guess I could see the argument uh, in terms of like drowning is kind of could be self-inflicted and not a murder. I would say,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So civilian servers might get my ass. So I don't even care. It's like if they like, I don't want to talk about this. Like don't make it happen. Don't make this a thing. You dedicate a scene for him to rescue, and all you said is I miss you too. That's basically the gist of it. They don't ask how did he really died. All he did is like offer them a way out.
but it's like, but you can see his body.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like
I mean, it's like okay, you don't get my point. It's basically they didn't say anything substantive. They didn't. This conversation is not really substantive.
because he talks about like because like the first thing he notices like this is Mary Carey's Halloween costume is after she was radiated poisoning is like you know me so well, things like that, like learn from the best. I mean I don't know, it's just father daughter stuff. They haven't seen each other in 2 years.
And and then of course because the story is like thin, so they just cut it off after just 20 seconds. It's
Yeah,
like
because they have to start heading back to the real world, which so this next part is kind of confusing because once that's done, and again, it's like I don't know. I think you and I have had plenty of conversations to a point where I think you could just I feel like you're either getting like annoyed that like I'm just very pro. I could see what they're going for, and I feel like it could have been better if you focus more on this or like focus less on this. I don't know if that's like I don't know if that's just something that bothers you or something.
uh, to be honest, it's like I mean, just say it once because there's a bit of repeating. But oh well.
It's a podcast. We always repeat.
Of course. So,
But
but
yeah,
yeah.
um,
So
yeah. So
Dahlia,
right.
Dahlia summons
Dahlia's just
Beetlejuice.
more comedy.
Yeah. So Dahlia just summons Beetlejuice.
Uh, she only said it once. She didn't even say it like multiple times. Because I think it's because he was already there, so he didn't need to be called. So I don't know. I guess that was a joke, but it was funny. This was
Mm.
actually funny because it was Beetlejuice.
And then Beetlejuice just kills Charles, the boyfriend. And that's it. That's the end of this guy.
Right. So, oh, you mean Jeremy,
Jeremy,
the
yeah.
boyfriend? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So he pretends to be one of the clerks and sends like he does the passport thing. It's too late. I have your soul now. Actually, buddy, it's your that's too late. Uh, shit out of luck. Goes down to hell, and that's over. Yeah, that was very disappointing. I'm
And
not gonna say he was like amazing or like he was like an amazing character or anything. Like I
but
guess
you,
like this was the thing is like you could have made a movie with him being the villain.
I mean, my thing is you emphasize him so much, and this is the end. That's it.
That too, but like it's not like the other villain is any better. Which would now it's time. Now it's her turn. Uh,
Yeah.
which yeah,
So
which
Beetle,
yeah, Delia is just not Delia. Dolores is still walking around the netherworld, killing people. That's all she does. Doesn't do anything else. Doesn't talk. And yeah.
and
And now that Jeremy is dead and going to hell, uh Richard sends them up to there. You know, obviously one last hug before they leave. Oh yeah, another thing Richard says is like he was able to see them, but apparently they weren't able to see him. So it's
what,
like that was another confusing thing.
which is like, oh, so what the fuck? So it's literally saying that she can't see him anymore, even though she can see ghosts. Is this supposed to be like her development?
Yeah, because this was another thing people were talking about a lot. That this not making sense. I think so. The only thing I could I could see this being annoying too. Theorizing, because like obviously the first film is very prevalent on the location of somebody's death being where that's like where you died is like going to be the where you basically haunt essentially. So for the Maitlands, they go back home and all that stuff. So obviously they see everything that goes in and out of the house, and that's their point of reference. I don't know for Richard. So that's kind of the other problem too. Is like, do they send him back to the house or do they send him back to uh, the area? But then again, it's like I guess you have the whole argument that he kind of commits suicide if you use the argument that drowning is self-inflicted and not like a murder, quote unquote. So I guess I could see that argument too. So, but then it's like, how is he looking at the Lydia and Astrid? That part is not very clear.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions on that. I will admit. What else? What else? How long have we been doing this? I haven't been paying attention. Oh, 2.5 hours. Not that
And
bad.
so Jenna Ortega and Lydia just have a conversation. Jenna Ortega said, "I'm sorry, we didn't believe you," which is fine. Do you know how long this lasts?
Well, Lydia doesn't say anything.
Yep, that's it. 10 seconds.
Everything is through Jenna's words. Jenna does a fantastic job. We'll keep saying it again and again.
But
I'm just very disappointed in like how little Lydia has.
I was so surprised because I was like, oh, this should be the most triumphant. Just this should be the moment that they should come together. I was like, oh, 10 seconds.
They don't even hug.
Nothing. Because now they have to stop Beetlejuice.
Yeah, but let's say actually they're not even thinking about that because apparently so in the while all this is happening and Rory's just like kind of like shitting his pants because all the shrunken heads are just walking around the town. They're not hurting anybody, but obviously everybody's scared of them. Then he sees the father. It's like the father's like, I'll take you up to the church. And that's that. So, he's getting ready for the wedding. Lydia goes to the church. Is like, oh, right, I have to get married. I forgot. Yeah. Oh, so it's which part of that was like, oh, that's great. No time lapse. So she didn't miss the wedding. It wasn't the next day. It wasn't, none of that. So okay, that's cool. So it was
So
that. Then she goes to, so she forgot about the whole Beetlejuice wedding too. So she's like, oh, I got to go marry Rory. And Astrid's like, you don't have to do it. It's like, it's not necessary. But then it's like, oh, if I don't do it, then I'll always regret it. And then I'll never like it. And then here's this and that. She's very casual about this, which is kind of weird. That's kind of what I find weird about it. Like, I don't know. There's a poltergeist that's trying to marry you, but I guess she just completely forgot about that promise.
what? Yeah, it's like everything's just so casual now.
Everything's just too casual, and I don't know. I don't know if
It's like
that's because of the setting and the
no, they're speed running a lot of plot points, so that's it. So
yeah
that's the reason.
yeah. So yeah, so the way that they go about it, they go to the church. Lydia and Astrid are there. Rory's waiting at the altar. Rory's like, I thought you were going to ditch or something. And then Beetlejuice, with the help of Delia, hijacks the wedding. And so a few things happen. He injects Rory with truth serum. Well, so basically, first off, Rory apparently invited like all these guests, but they're like, the guests have to be like 5 million subscribers or higher on social media. Cool. Let's really hammer in the weird dickhead before he dies, or not dies, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So
yeah. Go ahead.
okay. Here's a confusing part. Was like, so Beetlejuice injecting with truth serum was like, but at the same time, should Lydia even believe that that's truth serum, or just Beetlejuice just making him say shit?
So to be fair, his back is turned. The truth serum vial is in our side. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this. Beetlejuice kind of breaks the fourth wall from time to time.
Oh yeah, a lot.
A lot. Yeah. So I think the truth serum was for us, not for Lydia.
So
But
yeah,
he's starting to say the truth. But
it
yeah.
was like, you sure you believe this? Remember, ghosts can literally manipulate what you say.
Yeah, and that, and then like the only thing I could say is like he does look like he's shitting himself to say the truth. So I could see that I could see that argument, but it is like, yeah, as you said before, even in the first film and a little bit of the second film too, mostly in the first film, is that ghosts can manipulate things that you say. Which one example is when Beetlejuice covers Lydia's mouth and says the vows for her because she's clearly not going to say "I do" in that marriage scenes in the first movie. So yeah,
Yep.
so you have personal experience on this.
Hmm.
But yeah, truth serum, and he starts saying things like, "I didn't want to. I never really loved Lydia. I just wanted to marry her for the money. I took advantage of her because she was saying all this crazy shit about ghosts and stuff. And I thought, and I also go to that. My wife didn't even die. I just divorced her, and like, I just wanted to I wanted to take advantage of traumatized women for that. And Lydia was like the jackpot for all that. So yes, that's how it goes. And then that's when Beetlejuice summons a punching hand, and Lydia gladly
Punches him.
punches Rory, knocking him out.
I was like, yeah, you fucking. Yeah, what a dumb scene. What
Yeah,
dumb moments. Yeah, it's like,
yeah. Like, if there's one thing I'm not going to defend is the third act. This makes no sense at all. There's just too much going on. We need to end things, and then all of a sudden, obviously you got well, first before things go. Things are calming down a little bit. By calming down, I mean Beetlejuice kills everybody in the room and nobody reacts by sending all of the 5 million subscriber plus into their phones, um, and all that stuff. So
Yeah, because the world is totally not gonna realize. Yeah, we're fucked. I mean, to be fair, the world knows that the ghost exists. The movie just retcons it.
yeah, what do you call it? That's I did realize they used to show this scene a lot in the trailers, like where Astrid is looking on her phone and Beetlejuice is talking through it, and then she turns it away. That's not in the movie at all. So it's like it was kind of like one of those. I don't know if that's just the edit, just to make it seem third wall breaky, fourth wall breaky, or something like that. I don't know, because it was kind of weird how it was in all the promo, like where Astrid looks at her phone, Beetlejuice is speaking through it, and it's like, this guy, and then puts it away. But yeah, I don't know if you've ever noticed the trailers, but that was something that they kept showing a lot.
To be fair, I didn't see the trailer. I only see a teaser. I was like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I was not sure about the premise already. So oh well.
yeah. I mean, I didn't really have too much to say, but I mean, obviously, we're talking about the movie.
And so Astrid, so Lydia was Lydia was got almost get married, and Jano take was like, what do you do? I was like, just say the name 3 times.
So the only thing is like, so that's where Beetlejuice reminds that you can't say it because you signed the contract where you aren't able to say my name 3 times. So it's like, I don't know if that applies to Astrid. And
Oh, I mean,
so Delia's dead, so there's that.
but yeah,
But I don't know about Astrid. Yeah.
But she, because Lydia literally told her about the rule. Just don't say the name 3 times. It's like, just say it 3 times now. You fucking it's like,
Yeah, I mean, obviously Beetlejuice would have stopped that, but at least try.
Yeah, at least try. That's the thing.
Yeah. So yeah. So, the wedding stuff starts to happen. You got the whole singing and dance sequence because the first movie did it. The song was really lame. The song choice. I forgot what it was, to be fair.
Yeah, same.
You got another dancing Jenna, so that I'm sure people will ask for the video.
By the way, in the first movie, even the ghost could just say Beetlejuice 3 times, and it's fine. So it's
Yeah.
So yeah, Dahlia can also say that.
Yeah, Delia's just stupid.
And
so
and then
more things happen while they do this, the song and dance sequence. Then, like, all of a sudden, the Willem Dafoe and his Titan sort of dead army cops, they go through. He's doing a lot of action poses because he's not a real cop; he's an actor. So funny.
And yeah, that's the point of this character. Just a joke at the end.
So they break in, and then pretty much Beetlejuice freezes all of them, so they can't move. And then you got Dolores,
and she's here.
She's here, like, before the marriage. She's like, my beloved. I was like,
and then she just makes the Charles. So Beetlejuice just like, okay, I make Charles wear the I love Dolores shirt. I was like,
she gave it to Rory. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, I keep forgetting the names. So I was like, why would Dolores get distracted by it? She literally wants to do it for revenge. It's not like
But like
he's
it's like she so like all this time like it's like she still loves Beetlejuice. I think that was the point. But to be fair, this is the one line she said. She says two lines. My beloved, and then something else.
it's like where's
Like
Beetlejuice?
where is Beetlejuice? That's it. Those are the only two lines she says in the entire film.
Yeah. I was like, and so yeah, that's it. So she just got distracted by a guy wearing "I love the Laura" shirt.
Yeah, and then all during this time, Astrid. So Beetlejuice is also distracted by this because Astrid has enough time to read the book, and she sees the spell about the sandworm, and yeah, the sandworm is like now the sandworm is like the Jurassic Park where they just force the T Rex in the end. That's
I
like the
mean,
thing.
yeah, because the first movie that even though the first movie have setup and payoffs of it.
Yeah, yeah. Because like Gina ended up in the desert world already, so by that point, uh, Gina was basically able to take the sandworm with her in terms of going through the door and then attacking Beetlejuice that way. Here, I mean, I guess she saw the sandworm, but it's like there's like a chapter about it in the book. Oh, that's just great, isn't it?
So it's like, and then this Sam will just decide to attack Beetlejuice. But remember, the first movie, Gina rides it, so that's the difference. So it's lucky the Sam didn't attack Jenna
The sand
Ortega.
the sandworm just attacks Monica and Rory. So
Yeah, it's lucky it didn't attack the main characters.
yeah, it doesn't attack Beetlejuice. At that point, so yeah, Beetlejuice gets subdued by the. So this gets the cop and the other cops out of their
And
free
of course,
spell, and then
yeah, and of course, none of them just like, yeah, let's just say Beetlejuice again 3 times, you dumbass. You
so
got this.
here's the thing. Astrid reveals that based on the handbook, Beetlejuice had to violated the rules of the handbook by bringing Lydia into the afterlife in the first place. So even though she signed the contract, he still broke the rule by sending a flesh bag into the afterlife. So technically, that contract doesn't matter. So the contract explodes in his hand after this revelation. So
Wait,
I hate
how do
when
you not?
I
Yeah,
hate when that happens. It's like, oh, I had this rule this whole time, but actually that rule doesn't work if you think about it. Oh, now the rule is broken because somebody explained it to me.
I was like, this rule shouldn't work in the first place if that's the case. We don't have to say it to do that.
Yeah, and it's like, or it's like it's either that or it's like let it happen, but then he doesn't have the contract to physically show that oh it's broken now. Like I think that's like one way to fix that, but I don't know.
And
It's still a weird thing.
and the thing is, why would Beetlejuice even do this if he realized, oh shit, I can't send people in the underworld. If that's gonna break the contract, it's like, why?
Yeah, at that point, Lydia probably should have just said the incantation that was in the book.
Yeah,
But then Beetlejuice would not be in the story at all, and then
or not
we can't have that.
or not just incantation. Just draw a door and just knock 3 times.
So she can't. So apparently you can't draw that because as a human, you're not supposed to do that. That's like specifically a ghost thing. So obviously the Maitlands did it, and then Jeremy did it in this movie. But yeah, Winona would not be able to draw the door. To be fair, but that's where the incantation comes in, which
Oh
didn't do
yeah.
that. Yeah,
So
that's the
and
problem. That's the problem. But yeah.
so, yeah, this contract thing makes I just this is the only moment I don't like for Beetlejuice. It was like, oh, you don't know this? You don't know about this thing?
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. It's like like technically it works the way that like it technically works in the sense that like you you're able to bring Lydia in and all that stuff, but like it doesn't work because you can't marry somebody via contract because you had to take her to the underworld in order to do that. But that's like that's very hand wavy. And then obviously Lydia says right before she says Beetlejuice 3 times that yeah, I didn't want to marry somebody who's 600 years older than me. To be fair, great, that was her arc.
Oh yeah, because that's a fucking thing to say and stuff, dude. You almost destroy my family and shit. That
So
should be
yeah,
enough.
Beetlejuice starts
And
getting fat. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Then
yeah, and stuff.
he's popped.
Yeah, because John Ortega can't just say this in the beginning.
Yeah, but Lydia's the legacy character. We gotta get her to do something because she hasn't done anything in this movie. To be fair.
Yep, pretty much. And all they did is just destroying her character.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it ends.
And when
Lydia and Astrid goes. Lydia and Astrid. Well, first, like Delia has to go back because she reveals that yeah, I died. Those snakes were poisonous, and not not like super sad about it because like they couldn't really tell that she was dead until Willem Dafoe said that yeah, she's dead. So we had to take her back to the netherworld.
um
But yeah,
yeah
obviously, no, just like I'm gonna really miss you, Lydia stuff. So yeah, yeah. So you got some of that, but not enough, I would say.
yeah
Um,
they'll rush the ending in 3 minutes at
yeah,
most.
Dolores is just gone. Nowhere, no character.
Nope.
A clear sign of fucking the director is just enough to get a role in the movie. So yeah,
Oh yeah, so there's that. And
yeah. Willem Dafoe. I mean, he's not a character either, but he has personality at the very least. So
yeah, but I mean, to be honest, I think most of it is because of Willem Dafoe.
of course, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how it ends. Delia goes back. She finds Charles, and they go to the Soul Train to Heaven.
And
And then Lydia. So this is a little weird. So there's like a dream sequence of like her saying her last episode. Lydia saying her last episode of Ghost House. So that she can spend more time with Astrid. So during this, you have like a bit of a montage uh, of going to Italy, and then, God, I was sick when I saw this. Astrid seeing this vampire boy getting married. I mean, at least we saw Jenna in a wedding dress, to be fair. And then she was like pregnant all of a sudden. It's like, what the hell? Why is she pregnant? And then it's like you see the Beetlejuice baby, and it kills all the doctors. I think they just wanted to homage Scream. You didn't see Scream though.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the end. I was like, that's it. That's so depressing.
So, and then it's like, oh, it's a nightmare. And then like Lydia wakes up, but then Beetlejuice wakes up next to her saying, "Oh, I just had the craziest dream." And then Lydia wakes up again, seeing that there's nobody on her side of the bed. So yeah, so that's how it ends.
What the
So
fuck?
so 2 fake dream sequences in a row.
And just teasing Beetlejuice's return again.
Yeah, and obviously this film will not take another 36 years because obviously you want to probably get it before Rest Assured for Michael Keaton and all. But yeah, that's Beetlejuice.
When I was like, that's it. That's the ending.
Yeah, it's like I've seen that set photo of Jenna in the wedding dress, and I love that, by the way. But even then, it's like, where was this? Like, I was like going through the whole movie. It's like, when does this happen? Because like I know there was a set leak of her wearing a wedding dress. So it's like, where does this happen? It's like then it happens. It's like, what the fuck? There's like she just meets a random boy in Italy and they get married, and she's still like 18 and all
and
that
it,
in that scene. It's like, oh, and then now she's pregnant. What the fuck? It's like, oh, it's a dream sequence. So yeah, that's how it goes. And
yeah,
then
why is that
that's
how
a
it
dream
goes?
sequence and a dream sequence and a dream sequence. So yeah. So yeah. What do you think?
Shit. It's like sequel bait, and Tim Burton even said, I was like, I'm probably not gonna do another sequel.
That's ridiculous.
It's
I'm
like
sorry.
you,
This film clearly sets up a sequel, whereas the first film has like an ending. Where it's like, I
yeah,
mean, you could argue there could be a sequel because it ends with Beetlejuice's head getting shrunk. So it's like he's not gone; he's just in the afterlife.
but
That's kind of
that's
his
actually,
that's his thing. So yeah.
but it's not obvious sequel bait.
Yeah. And like, as we talked about early, like at the beginning of the stream, they did try to do like sequel ideas like since the 90s, like the 90s, the 2000s, even even 2017, they thought of like another film, and then that didn't get approved either. So then 2024, now we finally get the actual sequel 36 years later. So yeah.
Yeah, if that is, why is this all you can come up with after 36 years? Just recycling ideas from the first movie.
I don't even mind that in the sense that like I feel like it would make sense for a sequel that's has such a long gap between the films that you probably do want to retread a little bit for the new audience, but also for the old audience. But like you can still differentiate it enough so like I think that's like I would just say that I think there is a benefit of having that. I think Jenna Ortega is a great pick for somebody like that for you to get the new audiences to go into that with her character, and then obviously the older characters and all that stuff. So it's like I get the idea and all of that, but obviously the biggest issue is that there's just so many ideas for no reason. I don't really understand why we need to have like at least half of the characters in this movie. Like so much is going on for no reason that like if you just cut them out and just focus more on what you had, or at least commit to one idea, not like four ideas, then I could at least, and that's kind of what I find more disappointing about this compared to Alien Romulus is like there's like something here and you can easily just, whereas like Alien Romulus is what I find like offensive about it at the beginning is because it really is just playing it safe just to give you like a general, like we want to play it really safe so that Alien be like Alien 1 in the sense of like not like equal, of course it's not anywhere near Alien 1, but just something tame and safe and like horror-ish that like people can like that, but then obviously it ties back to Alien Covenant and Prometheus and stuff like that, and then it obviously gets worse because of that. And it affects the entire franchise due to that. That's like really annoying. But what I find annoying about Beetlejuice 2 is that like all the ideas are right there. Just focus on one of them, and then I think you should be fine.
I mean, no, it's just they focus on a lot of them, and it's like those are ideas you basically steal from other things. And even the ones that are interesting are basically just pointless.
Yeah.
It's, I was like, yeah, the ex-wife idea was like, oh, that could be cool. I was like, oh, that means nothing.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, and I've talked about how I would have divided the films in that sense, or
What
like
about
even then, it's like I'd put Willem Dafoe in the third film. I would definitely put his character. I would put everything that has to do with the ex-wife, the side characters related to the ex-wife, and all that. I would just put them in the because like the even the French guy who died, like he dies he's like, where do I go? Pick a number, and then that's it. He's gone. He was only there just for us to introduce us to the Netherworld again, so we could see Danny DeVito, because that's all that matters.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm. But yeah, that's just like that's like part of the disappointing stuff. Now, obviously, like I still find like how the character of Dolores was introduced was pretty stupid. Um, particularly like how he gets electrocuted and it causes a chain reaction that opens a latch that drops all the boxes on the floor, and the boxes they kick out each other so that all the limbs can like move around and so that she can sew herself back together via staples. So, yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. I don't. It's like, well, okay. It's like it's so stupid. Everything in this movie is stupid. It's like, and there's a lot of lost potential. It's like, I thought the William Dafoe idea could work because a cop that's gonna arrest Beetlejuice is like, oh, it's like that could actually be interesting. Someone who's acting as a cop is gonna arrest him. They did nothing. He just got frozen.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And as I was saying, like, all throughout the pod, I definitely think if you focused on one for this movie and then one for the next movie, I think that would have made a lot more sense. I probably would have preferred the Astrid storyline for this movie, and then have the boyfriend be the evil guy, which I don't know how. So you're saying like it's too similar to Wednesday?
Yep.
Would it still be too similar to Wednesday even if you do that?
I mean, they have to change a lot of things because it's like they literally just show this is literally just how they introduce and just how they end the fucking character. Literally, she just introduced and it was like, you're such a nice guy, so humble, and the main character just fall in love with her. I was like, yeah, you're the bad guy. And how did it end? I was like, oh, actually, I'm the twist all along. Right after I kiss you. I'm not kidding. They literally just show how they reveal in both shows. Literally after Jenna Ortega kisses him.
That's not fair.
Yeah. And of course at the end he just got turned into a in Wednesday he got turned into a werewolf, or not werewolf, monster, and just murder stuff. He's basically just pointless at the end.
That's why everybody wants Enid.
Yeah.
Sort of weird, to be fair, but yeah.
Yeah, and of course I want to say that Wednesday, Jenna Ortega is basically Wednesday. I mean, she's basically just Wednesday. She's like, oh, broken family. She and her mom doesn't have a good relationship. She's snarky. She's a like activist for no reason. To be honest, even the Wednesday show, they have Wednesday the patriarchy and shit. So I was like, what? It's like, and then and of course, like she just doesn't care about stuff. She's just interested, but also acted normal. And like their arcs is literally just trying to open up at the end. I was like, yeah, this is just Wednesday. I mean, this is just Wednesday. What the fuck?
I feel like I'm more attracted to her in this movie.
Yeah.
Her hairstyle is like a lot, but that's a different conversation. Yeah. I mean, I've said a lot of stuff about Astrid. We clearly don't see eye to eye entirely. When it comes to Lydia, I guess like you were talking about how she was completely character assassinated. I feel like my biggest thing about her is like she's too passive. And it's like I could understand being passive in the sense of like you have a daughter now, you have things to care about. And obviously motherhood could like dull some of your senses that she obviously wouldn't have had in the first film. I could see that. But there are other things like where there's like you're not doing anything. Astra's doing everything, which is like I get it. It's like she's supposed to mirror Lydia from the first film. Makes sense. But Lydia from the first film is here. She's an adult now. So there should be something different, or there should be something that she could teach her daughter.
No, she basically teaches her nothing.
like I don't. You got the mentorship stuff. You got to mentor her.
Yeah,
What
that's
kind of mentorship? That's up for the interpretation. So
yeah. So yeah, so basically what Lydia did is like, oh, she just kind of jokes around after Charles died, and then she was like, oh,
she's
I
to be fair,
decided,
she's not really joking. It's just I'm not gonna say she's like Joyce either. I think it's a little bit too far because like I don't know. Joyce has like become very one note, especially post season 3. Uh, I mean, season 2 is kind of like that too. To be fair, I mean, obviously not like Flanderized, but she is kind of like the screaming mom. I wouldn't. She's not like that here, but she is very timid, and that's the part where I don't understand in this movie.
hmm, okay, so it's I don't even know what to say about Lydia because she is like they literally just gave her an arc, kinda, which is like, oh, I sell myself for fame and glory, and I don't believe in ghosts anymore. Like I do believe in ghosts, I just don't care about them anymore. I was like, that's a complete betrayal. And it was like, what's the point? It's like Deadpool and Deadpool Wolverine. It's like, wait, what's the point of even giving her that? You just gotta assassinate her, and you didn't even do anything with her. And of course, she is like, I have a line was like, oh, I don't care about. I was like, I know that your dad died, but but we are not a thing anymore. Anyway, so it's like that's insensitive. It's like she's my least favorite. It's like she's the worst character here, if you ask me. Because her character is literally just ruined.
I'm kind of sorry. I got distracted by some of the Discord notifications. I feel like you should deal with that.
Yeah, that's
Um, yeah. What do you call it? Obviously, a third film is probably going to be on its way. I really don't know what they could possibly do now. I mean, Tim has said that he's not very interested in doing a sequel.
yeah.
Mm,
I mean, and then Dahlia, it's like I don't know. Dahlia just died. She did nothing. She just died. I
She's
was like,
just comic relief grandma.
yeah. And every time they're like, oh, this is a serious moment. It's like, oh, let's just tell some shitty jokes. What?
Yeah. The one thing I'll be grateful for this movie is the lots of press outfits from Jenna. Can't
Oh, I
take that
get it.
away. A
Oh, I get it.
lot of outfits.
Oh
Very
yeah.
active. Uh, Winona, Jenna, Catherine, they're all very fun together. I mean, they clearly had a great time filming the movie and stuff. And that's always the disappointing part, obviously, is like when a film is like not good or not great or anything like that. And it's just tough when you see like how much fun these
Hmm.
actors have. It could have been better as a story, but yeah, but obviously I wouldn't take that away. I mean, one story that Jenna said that I thought was really interesting is that after the success of Wednesday, she felt like that stardom, like for her, just went up like astronomically. Like she was on Disney before, but Wednesday's like what really skyrocketed her to higher numbers, and like she did not know what to do, and like that was when she was cast for Beetlejuice 2, and then being paired with like Winona Ryder, somebody who has been like a child actor, child star, who has like had her own success even from something like that. Like Beetlejuice was for her a similar experience. Like that, she was like the perfect person to like relate to her and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean they're like really good together and they're really fun together. I just wish there was more in that film, like to make it more apparent. But yeah, it's like, but yeah, those interviews are really nice. Um,
Yeah. But unfortunately, it's like, oh, the writing is just really bad. That's the thing. I mean, the only thing I like is like Beetlejuice, is because like he's just so difficult to ruin.
yeah, he doesn't he. like as Keaton and Burton say, like he's not allowed to have a character arc or he's not allowed to change. So that kind of forces you to keep him the same way as he was before, and it's great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that he's still the same because I was like, oh, because he made it so much more bearable.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I don't want to save Rory for last. He just sucked.
Yeah, Rory.
We said a lot about him.
I mean, there's a lot of poor dialogues. I just caught in first watch, but I didn't remember. But it's like something. Like, give me a second. What did they sound like again? Give me a second. It's like yes, I really noticed a lot of shit dialogues in the first watch just by this guy. Like okay, the line is like she's a feminist. It's like okay, that's one of the lines. So this is the line. It's like he said, I just lost my grandfather. And I was like, that's 40 years ago. But in my child body, that's yesterday. Why do you say it like this? Just what do you know what a normal person would say? Oh yeah, I lost my grandfather a long while ago, or just 40 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. Just cut off the like a child part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, there was a lot of reasons why. Justin Thoreau. Um,
To be honest, I know that this movie is gonna be bad because a lot of people just ask us like, "Do you think the movie's gonna be good?" I was like, "No." I was like, even the people who has hope for it, I was like, dude, I know who the writers are. I seen Wednesday. I know what the movie credits are. Just even without Wednesday, I mean, I know that Smallville. You like Smallville, right?
depends on when.
First 7 seasons when there are showrunners.
Those are better. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Yeah. But here's the thing. If you look in the movie credits, do you know what they write?
Yeah, I've taken a gander.
The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Empire. Yes, the one that Rachel Weisz said is so awful that she doesn't even want to reprise her most iconic role. And also, have you read this book franchise called I Am Number 4?
Yes, but I haven't seen any movies about it.
So they wrote this movie, and they're hired again to write a reboot.
I know they got Alfred Go did Spider-Man 2
Oh no,
for the
this is just
story, but yeah.
story. But yeah, so they didn't pen the script, just story. The movie got 33% Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I know the critic score is shit, but it's like, but at the same time, it's like no one even likes the movie.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, they gotta have a reboot.
These guys are always together.
Yeah.
Like these two just write together. Miles Millar and Alfred Go.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So yeah, they're writing duos, of course, which is fine. I don't care.
Yeah, so this film also introduces heaven and hell, so I found that interesting.
Yeah. To be honest, I think the writers just like a director that didn't even watch their original movie.
Yeah, because like honestly, I would say the whole concept of heaven and hell was meant to not be that blatant in the first film because like you're kind of using Tim Burton's strength of like making it all weird. So it's like you don't really fully explain as to, oh, is this supposed to be heaven or is it supposed to be hell? Does everybody come in here? Do people are not allowed to be in here? Things like that. So it's like it made it seem like very unanimous as to what it's supposed to be. But then with this film introducing a soul train that leads you to heaven and a hell in the same movie, it's like, oh, so there are ways to get above and beyond, or down and below. I don't know. I didn't really like that. And then obviously introducing that concept, plus the fact that the Maitlands are not here because of a loophole,
They didn't explain the loophole.
which they don't explain the loophole. I guess they went to heaven then,
I guess.
because like the Soul Train takes the souls up to heaven. Which the idea was like what the fear was like if Jenna goes into that Soul Train, she would never be able to return. That was the idea. So I think that's what they mean. They probably took the Soul Train to heaven, but then if that's the case, how could you do that? Or I don't know. It's just like the first film doesn't really introduce that concept enough to like really buy that this is a thing that could exist. I don't know.
I mean, even without that, they literally just broke all the rules when it comes to the afterlife or just the dead world. It's like now normal people can just see the ghost. You don't just teleport to your fucking house. Civilian service is not run by people who commit who just oof.
There's no time stream.
Yeah. Is there any other rules that got broken? I forgot to mention. But yeah, of course, the sandworm stuff is just putting the fucking exit.
Yeah, the sandworm is just the T-Rex from Jurassic Park now.
Yep.
It'll be the Deus Ex Machina to save the day.
Don't get me wrong.
It looks
Yeah.
cool.
Don't get me wrong. I think that the first movie should have just not used that as well. Because like I think even I found the first movie doing that a bit anticlimactic. I was like, oh, that's it? Okay. But still, even that at least that has setup.
That and it's like obviously these characters are brand new to this whole world, so like the Maitlands just don't really know what other options to do. So it's like a out of desperate move that happens to work. But like I mean, it's like it's that chaotic nature that you got to try something or things are going to go to shit. And I could appreciate it for that.
Yep.
So yeah, that's our thoughts on Beetlejuice. I'm sure there'll be the third film, Beetlejuice.
Yep. Hire a different writer, you morons.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know that? I forgot to mention this. Do you know who produced this movie?
Oh yeah, Brad Pitt.
Wow.
There's a few 12 Years by slave producers. I don't know why that's a common theme here. That's interesting. And then Brad Pitt all of a sudden. Yeah. I guess how'd you feel about the direction?
Wonky.
That's Tim Burton, to be fair.
Yep. So yeah, it's really wonky. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could still appreciate the set locations and the CGI not being too utilized and all that. So that's cool. I did agree with Jeremy John's take. Like one of your things here is it's like you could watch the first film and the second film and not feel like they're two completely out there movies. I think they like in visually speaking, like you can watch them back to back and like you won't feel like the effects are just too grand that there's no way this is the sequel. That kind of thing. I think that's kind of the argument based off of the Star Wars trilogies. But yeah. So he mentioned the Hobbit take, which I guess that's fair. I guess like that Hobbit take was more on.
Yeah, you could just cut out.
You can cut out some characters and nothing will change.
Yep, basically.
Yeah, I will say that the only thing that kind of changes, like if you take out the, but it changes like minusculely, like in the sense of like, oh, if you take out Monica's character, then like I guess there is no motivation to bring in this sandworm, but like then it's like bring the sandworm to kill Beetlejuice instead of Monica.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, that still applies technically.
pretty much. Uh,
Um,
of
but
course,
yeah,
it's like the plot is convoluted and then ends up doing nothing at the end.
yeah. Now there's all these nightmares. She's alone, but she's not really alone. That kind of thing. But
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like if I watch this back to back, I was like, wow, this movie is depressing because I know how it ends. You achieve nothing, and most characters died.
yeah. I also think just putting so much stock into that Charles character at the beginning, I think that kind of killed the movie right from the start. Because like they kind of used it one to have sad stuff, talk about good stuff about him, then also have like jokes related about his death, but like not really kind of a thing. I don't know. It's just like I think that's like what set the tone for the film like really badly as well. Not to mention the guy is a weirdo. So
And yep, and remember the first movie juggles the tone really like perfectly. Like dark humor. It's like even though it's like dark humor, you just realize this is literally a movie about like how does people feel after they died.
yeah, yeah,
So it's like it's an accomplishment. They actually did that. They can balance it well with the characters, which so it leads to a lot of hard hitting moments. Like the go like Gina just tell Lydia, I was like, don't die and stuff. And actually, how Lydia just in return saved their lives by summoning Beetlejuice.
right, right. Yeah, that was crazy in a PG movie where Lydia's writing about wanting to go off. So that's crazy. That would not happen in today if that was written today. What I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But this movie already pushes a lot of boundaries.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I definitely think like a lot of these issues just come down to. I mean, obviously, Winona has the joke is like the reason why we waited for 36 years to do the sequel so that Jenna could be born. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I I'm sure like maybe if they did do it back in the past, like back in the 90s, like originally what they planned for the sequel, it's like maybe they probably would have kept a similar tone or like a similar structure. Now, obviously, the problem with that is just there's only so much you could do with that, and then obviously the whole 36-year sequel stuff. We talked about some of the annoying things I found about it, but that's only because like this is happening so often now, where we're seeing sequels to things that were from the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and now they're happening now. It's like now we have to go back and remember what was it like before. What was it like now? Does it make any sense if these things can contradict each other slightly? How do they explain the contradiction if it does make sense or not? It gets really tiring.
Yep. It's it is what it is. But I just hope none of the trends keep starting. I don't think there's any more movies next week. I know Transformers 1 maybe.
Uh,
That's really late.
it's
That
rated high, but everything's rated high at the start. I know,
you
like,
know it's made by the guy who made Toy Story 4.
next week is the Agatha stuff.
And the Penguin. To be honest, probably won't have time to do the podcast because it's so late.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe we'll do like shorts for Agatha, just like how we did the Acolyte. I think that show would probably be more entertaining in terms of that kind of breakdown. I feel like Penguin, we probably should wait till that's over.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
obviously, we have to see what your schedule is like.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, my birthday's next week, so that's a problem.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, that was our thoughts on Beetlejuice, and Unity. Say goodbye to the people.
See ya, and next week it's getting a lot more busy for me, which is I'm already currently a bit busy, so there's that.
Yeah. Subscribe to Unity Review and Analysis. He talks a lot about movies and TV shows and stuff like that. I also want to take the time and thank everybody here, everybody on my Red Devil Reviews channel for getting me to 1K subs. That was I'm just glad I got it under 5 years. So I'm looking to post more content. I'm trying my best. Also trying to balance with work and stuff like that. So just be on the lookout for stuff. I also do reviews on movies and TV shows. And yeah, we will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.